my boo. Hey, Miss Leo. Miss Leo, I thought you was blue in here. Let me blew you up. We got so much to talk about today. I don't know where to start. I don't know which way to go. I don't know which way to go, baby. I don't know where to start. I don't know. You are blue. So why is it not blue when I looked at it? Oh well. Oh well. I gotta put my glasses on. We ain't waiting for a couple of people to get in the room. Yes, we are. Then we gonna start this show. Bro, I don't know, girl. Hey, Spice. What's up, Fan Fan? Don't worry, we get ready to start. Hey, Jim Jim. Whoever is watching the replay, they can always fast forward this and go straight to the show. Don't forget to hit that like on your way in. I gladly appreciate that. Hey, no one, no one, no one. You are someone. You are somebody. You are somebody. Don't forget to hit the like. Hey, Johnny. Hey, John John. What's up? Okay, so I'm going to start here. Some of you guys are late for class. Let me pump this. Cut it down a little bit. Oh, it's down. Let me cut it down a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Okay, we're going to start here, all right? We're going to start with my man Kev Gills. Let me see if I got it. I wanted to start someplace else, but I'm waiting for you guys to get in the class. So I'm going to start here. I can't start there. Let's go.
And where were you? And what did you have? What was yours? What language did you speak then? 20 million black people don't even know their own language. Why? Because he took it away from them. 20 million black people who don't even know the history of their ancestors. Why? Because he took it away from them. And to try and tell them how thoroughly and completely they've been robbed, he says you're teaching hate. Got people who have been oppressed and exploited by those who are not their own kind, strangers. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
See, this is why
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine. You want to be called an American.
now we always keep asking each other, and we keep trying to figure out, why don't some of us have a connection to the Africans, or that area that they call Africa, or that continent that they named Africa? And they think that we all supposed to have a connection. And some of us try to force a connection when a lot of our ancestors was on this land. A lot of our ancestors was on this land. And then we so quick to say, oh, I got Indian blood. No, your whole blood is Indian. You don't got Indian blood. Or my grandmother was in. No, that means you are Indian, but we still keep calling ourselves African Americans. That don't go in the same sentence. You have Indian blood, but I'm African American. That means you are Indian. You are Indian. So that's where a lot of our confusion come in at. And if you look at a lot of our older black people, you can tell they were Indian. And don't forget, Indian people, as you see, They were black first. They were black first. That's why I tell you guys time and time again, if you want to discuss history, you must learn maps. You got to learn the old maps and you must learn new maps to see what was taken out and what was added. And people go, well, we don't care. Well, then you should care. Because right here in America, it started out as 13 colonies. What was the 13 colonies? What was the original 13 colonies? But on your birth certificate, it has you down as 50 different states. It will go born in California, born here, born there. These states were added. So these states was added. Even if you're just looking at America, if these states was added, that means that you originally come from the 13 colonies. But according to your birth certificate, it'll say the state that you live in now. So we only talking about America. You can't possibly be all the other states because it was only 13 colonies. So your family will only be from them 13 colonies. And you will have to start from the colony that was number one. The colony that was number one before we got the 2 to 13. So we all technically originally from that one colony. Before we sort out more land and name them colonies and all this other stuff. People like to do history, but they don't like to do history. People like to study history, but they really don't like to study history. Because then you would have to do a thing called maps. And one go with the other. One go with the other. But I guarantee you, y'all going to start looking at the maps because y'all going to be wanting to win these arguments and stuff. When y'all talking history, y'all want to talk people, but people consist of land. That DNA come from what land does it come from? And if it doesn't make a difference, then what are we conversating about? You don't talk about the people, I talk about the land. And a lot of our forefathers was here on this land right here. Here on this land right here. We were here already. That's why a lot of our DNAs, a lot of us always talking about America, and they try to get you to stop talking about America. Because guess what? It's named America. But at one point it was Turtle Island, remember? Remember? What's that history? Have we dug into that history? Hey, Miss Leo. Have we really dug into that history? We never really dug into the Indian history, but that's our history. Because like I said, some of our people were already born on this land. We speak upon the Indians, but we don't, some of us got to realize that is our history, that is our people. So if you have Indian blood in you, maybe because you're Indian, then you got to read up what Native really means and what Indian really means. We can go into that. We're going to go into that, maybe not. Remember, this channel, it's not unlimited. It's limited. So we may do different shows. But we're going to carry on.
You never find a white aborigine. Rather, aborigines are called natives, or they're all aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Rather, Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are Aborigines, but you don't like to be called an Aborigine. You want to be called an American.
And that's Malcolm X.
Aborigine actually means from the beginning. It's two Latin words. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning. Ab meaning from, origine meaning the beginning.
To watch all of my exclusive content not featured here on my channel, log on to my website at I'mJustHereToMakeYouThink.com. Culture, heritage, and history, mainly due to the numerous manipulative tactics utilized to govern their critical thinking mechanisms and to also decimate their literacy capabilities. Each one of these manipulative social engineering experiments can only be detected and detached from one's subconscious when standing outside of the box. I'll let you ponder on what's happening to those that are still inside of it. Meanwhile, you have not and will not ever hear me promote any form of religion throughout any of my content that I present to the public. Reason being is due to religion, faith, and beliefs being based on one's personal love. That's simply content with any personal beliefs that you may have came from based on truthful information. Because mind you, there is a big difference between truth and facts. Facts are merely controversial information, whereas a person bears the opinion to debate its credibility or not. That's yet another form of belief. Whereas the truth is non-debatable due to its credibility of always making logical sense. This is why in today's society, most people don't even care about the truth. Why? Well, because to them, unfortunately, a lie is more entertaining. So now let's start with March 1st, 1790, when then President George Washington and Vice President John Adams, along with Speaker of the House Frederick Muhlenberg, signed the 1790 Census Act. According to the census itself, it states that the 1790 Census Act is a law that, quote, required that every household be visited, that completed census schedules be posted in two of the most public places within each jurisdiction, there to remain for the inspection of all concerned, and that the aggregate amount of each description of persons for every district be transmitted to the president. So let me point out that some households, not all, were visited by these individuals entitled as census enumerators, also known as census takers, who are technically federal government unsupervised employees who allegedly went from town to town, city to city, and door to door, deciding who was of what race and then documented the family they meet as such. So you mean to tell me that these census takers were provided instructions by way of the government to document and record the ethnic category of various family members based on their perception of the family when they visited? And their opinions were considered to be official historical records of information? Even though they did not count every individual living within the United States
Exactly.
due to the multiple indigenous regions.
I was getting ready to say that. You have to remember, at that point in time, the black people were not counted because we wasn't a people. We was 1/3 of a people. We wasn't even a whole person. We was a part of a person, not a whole person, just a piece, just a little bit. And you have to remember all the other people that they now call white people were not here yet. Y'all keep see, you got to think of when you say white people, and this is why I was trying to explain to the little, he said all of them. It was not all of them. It wasn't all of them because number one, it was a race barrier. Number two, they wanted their land to be the dominant land. They wanted their country to be the world leader. So you have to remember that. They wanted their world leader. I mean, they wanted their land to be the world leader. France wanted to be number one. Spain wanted to be number one. England wanted to be number one. Russia wanted to be number one, and so on and so on and so on. They all wanted to take over the whole entire world. They wanted to be one dominant person. So even here, all of them that we call white now wasn't all called white then. A lot of countries were not here yet. But we know we were already here, and then we also know we were brought here. So just remember that. So when all these different, I have to say it the way it is, as we would call it, white people, as all of them was here, they wanted to know which white people are here. Which white people, like which countries made it here? Who did we let in? And then they wanted a count of all the people. Okay? All right.
Raids and rebellions occurring during this time period, the alleged first official census of the entire United States was implemented on a day dubbed as Census Day on August 2nd, 1790. See, now, what's very important to note here is that the quote, free people of color were recorded all in one group. And also note that it states free and not freed, as if they were freed people from some form of enslavement. I go into more detail about the census labels in the documentary that I'll link above right now. But I said all of that for a particular reason, and that is the official 1790 U.S. Census population count was a total of 3,929,214 people. But keep in mind that this total amount did not reflect millions of people who were indigenous to North America, aka Turtle Island, meaning they did not come from another continent, nor did it reflect the accurate total amount of so-called slaves in North America. Why? Well, the U.S. Census Agency themselves admitted to not possessing the majority of their official historical records of information that was allegedly documented between the 1790 U.S. Census and all the way up to the 1830 U.S. Census. And their excuse was to claim that these records were lost or destroyed somehow. See, this was all purposely done for two reasons. A, to hide the truth about the real history surrounding the U.S. and slavery.
Hey, Kiki.
I mean, generally speaking, you can literally prove to yourself that your ancestors were slaves or not by documentation. You can check and see if your ancestors came off a boat. I've been sharing this information publicly for years now, along with my sources. And I still have not heard from anyone that used my instructions to trace their family that I have available on Amazon Prime and anywhere else books are sold, that one of their ancestors were documented as being a former slave. The people that reached out to me that has or is currently undergoing research on their family's history have not failed with discovering that their family members were either never enslaved and has always been free, or worked as an indentured servant for money, land ownership, business ownership, etc., and considered to be freedmen once their obligations of servitude expired. Make no mistake, when you hear the term freedman from now on, freedman does not necessarily mean that he or she was freed from enslavement, because it can also mean relieved from their duties in most commonly known cases. So this first reason to allegedly lose or destroy these records was to hide the truth that it was a very small amount of copper-colored slaves and a greater amount of prisoners of war in North America. And the second reason is B, to hide the truth about who are the real minority and majority in terms of the population
Now,
count here
these are
in the United
Indians.
States of America. In which this brings me to my very next point. The biggest portion of their agenda was the abominable sabotaging of the indigenous Niji's history, legacy, languages, culture, and heritage systematically. So of course they couldn't pull this task off on their own. So they implemented a methodology format based solely on the scientific concepts of eugenics. According to the National Archives, the term eugenics was coined by a British natural scientist and explorer named Francis Galton in the year of 1883. Now, there are two sides to every coin, so I'll be sure to flip each side over, and I'm not theoretically speaking here. Eugenics was implemented to help improve one selected group of people and their future generations to come, to overtake and oversee yet another set group of people and their future generations by way of extermination of their mindsets. This rabbit hole goes much deeper than one may assume. Allow me to simplify the explanation of this paramount method utilized by the likes of your industrialized institutions throughout America still to this very day. Eugenics literally changes everything that any person was ever taught of or even
Not to mind you, if you look at the different set of people, we got the Africans and the Indians, and you notice that they look alike, but you can see the difference.
Previously, before this selection was carried out upon him or her. According to Francis Galton himself, this system would allow, quote, more suitable races or strains of blood a better chance of prevailing speedily over the less suitable, end quote. Galton was heavily influenced by the likes of an English naturalist, biologist, and the first ever self-proclaimed documented bigoted genealogist, Charles Darwin. Darwin single-handedly developed the controversial theory of human evolution, which was his belief that man came from monkeys, and then his system of natural selection, which included a heavy flux of racial derogatory.
So 1859, that's when Charles Darwin introduced Origin of Species by natural selection and the favored human races. Did you know that today they only report half the title that Charles Darwin wrote? His title had to do with favored human races, assigning supremacy to the Aryan race, all others being inferior. How many knew that? Only a handful. His book was racist, and that was the basic purpose for writing it.
During the early 1900s, the social engineering aspect of Darwin's theory became popular worldwide amongst many scientists alike, high-ranking politicians, and it even caught the eye of the elitists. More about this in the second installment concerning this topic. But I mention all of this to inform you that they played a prominent role in elevating the advancement of eugenics, specifically for the sake of their own race, disguised as if this was for the benefit of all humanity at a cost of whatever they desired. They were religiously following this formula or rule, dubbing it as survival of the fittest. In other words, Charles Darwin's theory of human evolution was merely a way to elevate and escalate the implementation of white supremacy and to eradicate those who were of non-pale complexions, deeming it as survival of the fittest, where those who did not meet their racist criteria, motives, and agendas would suffer from a variety of forms of propaganda that was hypothesized to eliminate the opposing race of people. Eugenics is literally a modernized pseudoscience that was based merely on racial discrimination and environmental injustice, socially, physically, and mentally, but became prosperous still due to its popularity of praises from those who gravitated towards inequality and racial estrangement. On the date of September 25th, 2008, in a statement made before the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs by Representative James P. Moore on the grounds of the Thomasina E. Jordan Indian Tribes of Virginia Federal Recognition Act, Moore stated, quote, "This is a travesty that this committee can correct. The second unique circumstance for the Virginia tribes is what they experienced at the hands of the state government during the first half of the 20th century. It has been called a paper genocide. At a time when the federal government granted Native Americans the right to vote, Virginia's elected officials adopted racially hostile laws targeted at those classes of people who did not fit into the dominant white society. The fact that some of Virginia's ruling elite claimed to be blood descendants of Pocahontas, in their view, meant that no one else in Virginia can make a claim they were Native American and a descendant of Pocahontas's people. To do so would mean that Virginia's ruling elites were what they decreed all non-whites to be, part of the inferior Negroid race.
You see that?
With great hypocrisy, Virginia's ruling elite pushed politics that culminated with the
See, this is why we have to study the different terms of being Black. The same way Caucasians know the different terms of being Caucasian. And we got to realize why they call themselves white, why they call themselves Caucasians, and realize why we are just lumped together. There is a difference between us two. We the only ones who don't seem to realize that. There is a difference between us also. And for you to really, and then people use the DNA test or whatever, not DNA, well, it could be still DNA. But when you use that test, it's only going to take you back to what exists now. But you really have to study the skull. Our skull is different from other people's skull. Our brain is different from some of their brains, not how it functions. I mean, the way it's shaped. The way it's shaped. The same, like I said, the same rule applies with them.
Enactment of the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. This act directed state officials and zealots like Walter Plecker to destroy state and local courthouse records and reclassify in Orwellian fashion all non-whites as colored. It targeted Native Americans with a vengeance, denying Native Americans in Virginia their identity. To call yourself a Native American in Virginia was to risk a jail sentence of up to 1 year, end quote. Now, in this statement, he used the term Native American, but the truth is that our identities were changed not from Native American, but from Indian to colored. And they were not only jailing people in Virginia for claiming their true identity, but they were also killing them by hanging them from a tree, and in more ways than one that I won't mention, in each state across North America. The biggest bigoted, racist, white supremacist of them all was none other than Walter Ashby Plecker.
The Plecker era was truly one of the darkest times for Native people in Virginia. But I think it's critical for us to think about what was the genesis of the ideology that Plecker was a proponent of. And it's really the eugenics movement. The eugenics movement was a pseudo-scientific movement. And we say pseudo-scientific today because we find that the science that they were proposing is not what we today would honor as scientific in any way. The eugenics movement has a direct link to the descendants of Charles Darwin. They somehow made the leap to these notions about racial purity. What is best for each race is racial purity. Plecker and his friends convinced the Virginia legislature to adopt very restrictive legislation in 1924. It's called the Racial Integrity Act. With this legislation, it was decreed that there were only two possible categories. One is white, which means a person you check that you're white if you have white ancestry, Caucasian ancestry, and absolutely nothing else. The other category is everybody else, and that's colored. So that this was very hard on Virginia's indigenous community because in a sense it wipes away their identity on paper. Their ability to describe themselves as Indian was not possible. To describe themselves as Indian was not possible.
Keep in mind that our elder family members' birth certificates were changed multiple times to state colored, Negro, mulatto, and now Black or African American as their classifications of racial identity by way of the federal government systematically. So the moral of this segment is that you have been lied to by your government, your president and politicians, your news media, your school teachers, college and university professors, your public school history curriculums, multiple out of Africa theory books, and even by the very people that share the same hue as you and I. And that's a whole nother story within itself. Now, I challenge each and every one of you to seriously research your mother or your grandmother or your great-grandmother's birth certificates right now. And if it has the letter C or COL dot or color and every other misclassified title of race created by the government that I just mentioned, then at that moment, you will know the absolute truth about who you really are.
Now, people tell you, hey, you got to go back to Egypt. You got to, no, sometimes you have to start right here. Because maybe you were born right here. Maybe your ancestors was from right here. And a lot of things is owed to us right here. Right here. And if you don't want to believe that, then we should not ask for reparations. Because only the people in America get it. Because technically, in that case, the Africans should ask for reparations for their ancestors, what they went through here. Remember, y'all want to keep making this connection. Not saying that a lot of us, which we do know, we have a lot of like I said, West African DNA in us. Yes, a lot of us do, but if it's Indian DNA in there, that means that if we got Indian blood in us, that means we were here already. When they came, they impregnated us. See, we thinking that when we came here, the same way you have Spain, the slaves was dropped off at different places. Yes. But for here, right here, if a lot of time we thinking that we come from there, but we never thought about we was here and they came to us. And being that we're both black in color, we're both dark-skinned people, they kind of shacked up. They done made some of these babies. And as this man said, if you look at your parents or your great-grandparents, see if that's where colored come from. Color, if they have it in a birth certificate, not what they was called. But if it's in a birth certificate, you were here on this. You was here. You are native to this land.
Usually bras fit small-chested women like this.
African Americans. But this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European.
Those of you that say Black Lives Matter, I feel sorry for you. Do you really believe you have a black life? Do you want me to read to you the meaning of black? Who called you black? Shouldn't you have rejected that from the beginning? A contradiction, a bundle of contradiction. Black means the absence of color. Absence of color. Absence of good. Absence of light. Absence of direction. That's the meaning of black. Black is not a color. It is the absence of color. Don't you understand it? They keep laughing at you as you call yourself black. They keep laughing at you. Open any dictionary, find out the meaning of black, and tell me if you find anything good, and you're not black. You've got to change it. The same way Negro became a racial slur, black should be labeled a racial slur when it is used in connection with you. Black should be labeled a racial slur when it is used in connection with you.
To watch all of my exclusive content not featured here on my channel, log on to my website at a person's classification of race by the color of their skin in which they see, or their best personal opinion of what an individual should be generally racially classified as. These particular individuals were entitled as census enumerators, also known as census takers, or the U.S. Marshals, who are federally government unsupervised employees that was said to have allegedly gone from town to town, city to city, and door to door, deciding who was of what race, and then documented the family government to record the ethnic category of various family members based on their perception of the family when they visited. So if you are attempting to find and interpret data about your family's history, these results can be confusing, especially if in one census your family has been recorded under the category all other free persons or slaves, and then free persons of color, then mulatto, and even black. During the earlier years of census taking, there were no categories for Indian at all, while in later census records, Indians were recorded all in one categoric group known as Free People of Color. Most census of today are mysteriously skipping the classification of race altogether, meaning that this particular portion of a birth certificate, for example, is purposely left blank, but only for people ranging from light to dark brown skin complexions. In part 1 of this segment, I shared congressional records uncommonly known by the public that details the truth about census records and why the choice of your family's classification of race was solely up to the individual census taker of that particular area and not your family members. The complexity of census records is in fact outrageously discombobulating, but still very utilitarian for research purposes and enthralling nonetheless. During the early half of the year 1790, Congress assigned full responsibility of census taking to the marshals of the U.S. judicial districts under an act that governed census taking through the years 1790 to 1840. It was then called the 1790 Census Act, having been signed by then President George Washington, Vice President John Adams, and the Speaker of the House, Frederick Muhlenberg, on March 1st, 1790. During this time period, there were many open political debates about who should be counted, and they also struggled with the idea of allowing indentured servants to be counted equally as the same as free whites. There was an economic structure already in place to this entire governmental construct that was not limited to taxation only, which sparked the debate with Northerners wanting slaves or indentured servants to be counted as equivalent of free whites, as the Southerners did not. Eventually,
the new best way to make money online that nobody's talking about is something you.
There was a compromise established, and August 2nd, 1790 marked. Census enumerators were required to record a total of 6 inquiries in the 1800s that I want to go over with you. Starting in the 1790s, census takers were notified of instructional specifications stating, quote, omitting Indians not taxed, distinguishing free persons, including those bound to service, from all others. During the year 1800, these instructions were slightly adjusted, stating that Indians living off of reservations and not wild should be recorded in the all other free persons column of the census form. The 1800 census classification options were free white, slave, and all other free persons. So we can easily determine that they have added the word persons to the already established category, all other free, which was used in the 1790 census 10 years prior. Interesting enough, the Indians living in the wild, generally meaning plains, and the Indians in the West or on reservations were not taxed, but those who were enumerated were recorded in the all other free column in the 1790 census. Once the Constitution called for a census of all persons excluding Indians not taxed, many other adjustments were made towards the classifications taken by the enumerators, mainly due to the sole purpose of apportioning seats in the House of Representatives and assessing direct federal taxes. On March 2nd, 1807, then President Thomas Jefferson signed an act to prohibit the importation of slaves into any port or place with the jurisdiction of the United States. This act deemed it unlawful to, quote, import or bring into the United States or the territories thereof from any foreign kingdom, place, or country any Negro, mulatto, or person of color with intent to hold, sell, or dispose of such Negro, mulatto, or person of color as a slave, or to be held to service or labor, end quote. This act came into effect as of January 1st, 1808. Keep that in mind. These familiar terms that I just mentioned, like Negro, mulatto, and person of color, were not used as the official classifications of race on the census during this time period of 1808. In fact, just 2 years later, in 1810, there were very few adjustments made to this third census, making Indians living off of reservations now recorded in the All Others column of the census form. This time around, the options were free white, slave, and all other, in replacement for the 1790 and 1800 census option that read all other free and all other free persons. Soon after that, the War of 1812 made American history. It was a war declared by then President James Madison because of the discovery of Great Britain supporting many Indians with rebelling against white settlers squatting in America. This war between the United States and Great Britain lasted until the year 1815, and then 5 years later, the 1820 census made some critical adjustments to the classifications of race on their forms. This time, the Indians that were living off of reservations were recorded in the free colored persons category. Note that this is the very first time ever in history where the census utilizes the term colored. And other options included on the form were free whites, slaves, and then all others, except Indians not taxed. So, generally speaking, the phrase Indians not taxed is referring to the Indians living on reservations under the aid and care of government agencies or roaming individuals or in bands over settled tracts of the country. But need I remind you that according to the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary, which was 8 years after this census, the noun American is defined as a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. Then, the very next year, on March 4th, 1829, Andrew Jackson began his presidency in the White House. Then on February 22nd, 1830, Senator Hugh White proposed a bill from the Committee on Indian Affairs called the Indian Removal Act. According to the Library of Congress, the Indian Removal Act was signed into law by then President Andrew Jackson on May 28, 1830, authorizing the president to grant unsettled lands west of the Mississippi River in exchange for Indian lands within existing state borders. A few tribes were said to have left peacefully, but millions resisted the relocation policy and stayed put throughout the southern lands of America. By the 1850 census, 20 years later, another change took place, whereas the categories for race were now white, black, and mulatto. What is very important to note is that if a person looked light or mid to dark brown skin in complexion and was an Indian, the census takers recorded them as M for mulatto. According to the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary, mulatto is defined as, quote, a person that is the offspring of a negress by a white man or of a white woman by a Negro, end quote. According to the 8th edition of the Collins Spanish Language Dictionary, the term negress is defined as an offensive word describing a woman or girl of color, or negra, or negra, or negra.
People think the census is about counting, and that's what I thought. It's really an exercise in counting before I started to do research. And I started to look back since 1790 of how we counted Americans along racial and ethnic lines. And back then it was color. And there was a controversy then, who should be counted? And should slaves who are Black be counted the same as free whites? And because there's money involved and taxation involved, there was a big debate. The Northerners wanted slaves to be counted as the equivalent of free whites, and the Southerners didn't. And they agreed on a compromise that Blacks, slaves, would be counted as 3/5 of a white person. So in that sense, the census not only cemented the color line, but reinforced how we thought of race, racial inequalities. And these categories have constantly changed, which is really fascinating. I was saying backstage that in 1850, we had a category mulatto to try to capture the amount of racial mixing. In 1850, we had a category mulatto to try to capture the amount of racial mixing.
But how can you capture racial mixing in 1850 when blood testing was invented during the early 1930s?
Between Blacks and whites. In 1890, I believe, they added octoroon and quadroon to try to get at precise racial mixtures between Blacks and whites. And then in 1930, because there was so much racial mixing, they actually dropped that altogether and just used Black for anyone with any trace of Black ancestry. And hence this idea of the one-drop rule.
So why is it a one-drop rule instead of being an actual proven fact?
Which has stayed so pervasive in the minds of Americans of who is Black. And so as a result of all these practices, I think Americans have become very attuned to identifying Blackness and constraining that racial category.
In the instructions for the enumerators in the 1890 census, when it comes to color, sex, and age, the enumerators were instructed to be, quote, particularly careful to distinguish between Blacks, mulattoes, quadroons, and octoroons. The word Black should be used to describe those persons who have 3/4 or more Black blood. Mulatto, those persons who have from 3/8 to 5/8 Black blood. Quadroon, those persons who have 1/4 Black blood. And octoroon, those persons who have 1/8 or any trace of Black blood. End quote. This sounds a bit confusing to you, right? The U.S. government created separate freedmen's lists specifically designed to rule out all copper-colored Indians from receiving any newly established benefits and land allotments that they were entitled to. The U.S. government listed all full-blooded American Indians as Black or colored as their classification of race documented inside of the 1900 census, while simultaneously, white U.S. citizens were allowed to become identified as Indians by simply paying the Dawes Commission a whopping total of just $5 for each white adult and child to be listed on the Dawes rolls, replacing those people that were initially on the forms during this time period. So now, from the late 1880s to April 1st, 1902, which is known as April Fool's Day, public notices were passed around detailing that other claimants can legally make their cases for freedmen enrollment. However, this motion single-handedly allowed white citizens the rights to legally cede Indian lands, reparations, plus the optimized benefits having been set in stone previously for the people now classified as Black. Now, jumping over to the 1930 census, it gave special instructions to the census takers, stating, quote, Negroes, persons of mixed white and Negro blood, should be returned as a Negro, no matter how small the percentage of Negro blood. Both Black and mulatto persons are to be returned as Negroes, without distinction. A person of mixed Indian and Negro blood should be returned a Negro, unless the Indian blood predominates and the status as an Indian is generally accepted in the community. And then it goes on to say, quote, Indians, a person of mixed white and Indian blood, should be returned as Indian, except where the percentage of Indian blood is very small or where he is regarded as a white person by those in the community where he lives, end quote. So in other words, according to these enumerator instructions,
Hey, Miss, this is one video you have to see from the beginning. And this is why you must start your history here on American land first. People want to go no, because a lot of us we're on this land first. We are the first Indians. We all want to be from Africa. No, some of us are from here. That's why when I said earlier, when people go, oh, I'm Black, but I have Indian blood. No, you're Indian with African blood. You were already here. They came and mixed with you. So you are, and see, this is why they make you go on and study African and read African, because you have a lot of money to receive. You missed out on a lot of money. You're waiting no, you have to fight. If it's in my blood, and you got people that back then they bought their way into being Indian. They bought their way, Caucasians bought their way because they were not taxed. They were not taxed, and certain land was put for them after they already took the whole entire land anyway. They took the land anyway. So then they gave them a little piece of a land, and they took that too. They claimed that too. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? It's gotten to the point that the Indians that are there now it's to the point they don't even claim their offsprings. So black Americans get hit with a double whammy. Bad enough, our African lineage don't claim us when they don't claim us, and our Indian lineage don't claim us. It's like nobody claims us, but we would like to be claimed by everybody else. We would like, but because somebody please claim us, please. No, you have to fight for your Indian. You have to fight for that. Like I said, back then they used trick words. You will have to watch the whole video to see the trick words that we used. Like we thought colored people just meant colored people. We thought free people just meant free slaves. No, it all had a meaning. It all had a meaning. Oh Lord. It's today. Today not Friday. That firecrackers, what they be doing now? Who knows? Yeah, we were born fighters, but a lot of people, even in early part of the video, you have to check your mother's birth certificate and try to get your grandmother's birth certificate and your great grandmother's birth certificate to see if there is a C on their birth certificate or a colored on their birth certificate. Because if it's, yeah, but we usually have the firecrackers on Friday, so I hear them now, so oh well. But anyway, as I was saying, because if they do have it on their birth certificates, that means they are native to this land. We these birth certificates and stuff we can pull up. We can't pull up 50, 100 years ago, but we need to pull this up now because a lot of things are owed to you. You should be getting your taxes should be free. You should be getting everything that the Indian reservations be getting. But they gave them another deal. So we got two parts of our history, or two parts of American Black people. We got two parts of our ancestors that do not claim us. Do not. And then, like I said earlier, you wonder why a lot of Black Americans are not connected to Africa. You wonder, yeah, tell me about it. Oh, yeah, now I know y'all hear it. But you wonder why, but damn, why they're not connected. And you try to ingrain, and you keep trying to ingrain it in African American people to, I mean, Black people in America, or the indigenous people, or the Aboriginals, which even Malcolm X said in his speech. We know, he said, we are the Aboriginal. He said this, but we rather not call ourselves the Aboriginals. We rather call ourselves Americans. It's not the treaty, yeah, it's a treaty, but this was all done of the census. And each year, which you will see in this video, once you rewind it, you will see how they kept changing the census. You will see how they kept changing it to make you less and less and less Aboriginal, and make you more and more and more African. And the key word is descent. African keyword descent. You have to think about it. We are the Indians. Most of us are the Indians. Most of us are the Indians. Now, I'm going to play this little clip of something before I move forward. And it's time to move forward. And you have to understand what my girl is saying. You have to understand what my girl is saying. Uh-oh, what'd I do to it? Hold on. Hold on. Now listen carefully. Listen carefully. Who remember this movie? All right, let's go.
Live in the slums to care, Melanie. You don't have to try to be something you're not. God, I can't stand this. Trying to be something I'm not? Trying to be proud of my African heritage? That's being something I'm not, then fine. That's being something I'm not, then fine. But I'd rather be dead than be like you. Stuck-up nigga who's ashamed of being black. My grandmother was a full-blooded Iroquois. 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 I know all that, Mama. They don't know this. I am alive because of the blood of the people who never screamed or begged or apologized for what they were. They asked only one thing of this world: to be allowed to be. And I learned through the blood of these people that black isn't beautiful. It isn't ugly. It isn't kinky hair. It isn't straight hair. Black is just black. It broke my heart when you changed your name. I gave you my grandmother's name, a woman who bore 9 children and educated them all. Who held off 6 white men with a shotgun when they tried to drag one of her sons off to jail for not knowing his place. And you had to reach into an African dictionary to find a name that would make you proud.
Okay, everyone. Now, as I've stated numerous times before, I am well aware that many of you were taught to believe line after line in today's society of America concerning this topic and various types of correlating information by design, but our identities, cultures, heritage, and especially their actual history, simply because of how they were taught to believe in a fictitious story that claimed that all people of color in America are somehow descendants of Africans. The problem with this story is that there is no verifiable evidence of it actually being truthful information. I'll get into why here shortly. And yet, there are many so-called blacks or so-called African Americans that are willing to go to their graves with a very strong belief in this falsified information. See, this is why I single-handedly write, edit, and produce parts of Europe to North America during the mid-1800s. His mother, Henrietta Hart, was an immigrant from Germany, and his father, Herman Herskovits, was an immigrant from Hungary. Before becoming a teenager, the family moved to El Paso, Texas in 1905. Then soon after his mother abruptly passed away from a mysterious illness, Melville and his father moved to Erie, Pennsylvania, where Melville later graduated from Erie Senior High School in 1912. Melville began his college studies at the University of Cincinnati, while simultaneously taking rabbinical studies at the Hebrew Union College, Cincinnati campus, as traditionally suggested by his family, being as though the college is a Jewish institution of religion. When the United States involved themselves in the conflict known as World War I on July 28, 1914, history loves to state that Melville allegedly quelled his studies to enlist in the, quote, Army's Medical Corps and headed off to Europe. Now, keep in mind that his mother was from Germany and his father from Hungary. in which both places, including Bulgaria and the Ottoman Empire, fought against Russia, Italy, France, Japan, Romania, Great Britain, and of course the United States.
I needed my little young blood up in here because he said all of them got together. All of them got together. All of them got together to bring us here. And I'm like, no. I keep trying to tell you guys time and time again, to be a historian, to know your history, you have to study maps. You have to study maps. Maps are very important. People go, no, they're not. If maps is not important, then which of the first colony that we got here, the first colony that's here, then that's the colony that should be on all of our birth certificates. As the colonies grew and they made a state after the colonies, or when they started calling it states, when you put born, you'll put born Texas, you'll put New York, you'll put California, you'll put Oregon, you'll put but all of them states did not exist. So we could claim the maps now, but we don't want to study the maps then. So technically, you're not a Texan. Technically, unless you're part of them 13 colonies, and you're not from the number one, the colony that's number one, then you're not from them other states. You're not from them other states. Them states did not exist yet. So how can you be from the rest of the states when it was only 13 states and 13 colonies, and it was only one colony, then it became 2, 13. So technically, everybody in America, unless you was dropped off to the other parts, we're all originally from one state or one colony. But as we grew, you added on more land, and then land was taken away, just like this. As far, yeah, exactly. I'm only using USA for an example. Exactly, Miss Wright. I'm only using USA for an example. But for us Black people, like I said, we are Blacks in America. We're the only people that both of our ancestries don't claim us. They don't claim us. We are the ones that have to keep searching for information here. We need to know, if we can, what does our great-grandmother birth certificate say? So we need to know if they're Indian, because if you have any Indian blood in you, you are indigenous to this land. And if you have any African blood in you, that means when the Africans got here from the ships that they came on, they intertwined with you. They came to your land. So how are you part of their land? You can't be African if you got Indian blood in you. That means you were already here. They came to you. And then y'all did the oochie coochie la la la. That's when y'all did, y'all was shacking up and stuff. We the only people got to dig for both of our. It's like none of us really have a mother or father. The closest thing we got to our mother and father would be our great-grandmother. Our great-grandmother, which is hard for a lot of us to find their birth certificates. Because we need to know if it's colored on their birth certificate. Because back then, colored meant that you were Indian descent. It did not mean you were colored. That was introduced later. That was introduced later on the census. It was introduced much later. But back then, not your grandmother, but your great-grandmother. So your great-grandmother will hold the key to if you are really indigenous or not. And then they'll switch it up and say, oh, you got 5% Indian. No, I'm more than 5% Indian. I'm 5% African. Because we were here first. So you got to think about the land. The census came about everyone claimed white. No. The census was out before then. And since it was out, you got to watch the beginning of the video. You got to watch the beginning of the video. You got to watch the beginning of the video. But when the census came out, I'm saying colored because colored represented something. Free represented something. Freed with the ED represented something. Each thing that we say, every time we say they needed to keep account of the people of color. No, you have to watch the beginning of the video. You have, right about now, we have to watch. You have to, while this is playing, like rewind the video and watch the beginning of the video. Or I'm gonna show some more that will take us back. But it wasn't about keeping account of the people of color. Because it wasn't people of color when the census came out. And you got to remember later on, when we were added, that was only because they wanted state dollars. And then they said, okay, we'll call them. I said, okay, you wrote okay at the same time. That's crazy. But that was only because the state wanted more money. Like, hey, we got these slaves up over here. They need to be counted because we want more money. Okay, we're going to call them 1/3 of a person. We'll call them 1/3 of a person. So you're going to get 1/3 money. You're going to get 1/3 money.
What's very noteworthy here is which side of the conflict Melville allegedly subscribed to, because there is no actual records of him enrolling in the United States Army in the first place. Yeah, and I'm just getting started here. Now, when he returned to North America, Melville transferred to the University of Chicago at a time where anthropology was heavily influenced by the deceitful hidden agendas of industrialism, along with political European colonialism, where pseudoscientific theories were not only praised by one particular group of people, but justified for its subjugation of all non-white people. Before World War I began, in a speech directed to accredited businessmen, President Woodrow Wilson stated that henceforth public policy will be geared to providing a public education tailored to producing industrial workers who did not question orders and were skilled in only basic manual labors, and that a liberal education will be reserved for a small elite. By the early 1900s, American industrialists recognized that compulsory public education was the most useful means to socially engineer the American population to suit the purposes of industrial capitalism. Local networks of corporate foundations, university education and psychological departments, educational accrediting boards, and governmental agencies arose to oversee the implementation of the blueprint for this ambitious but yet so devastatingly evil social engineering project. These entities included organizations such as the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, the Columbia Teachers College, the University of Chicago, the National Training Labs, the National Education Association, and the U.S. Office of Education, now known as the Department of Education. Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, John D. Rockefeller, and Henry Ford were the key contributors and introductional architects of this American educational system of forced schooling.
According to Lee D. Baker, an author and a cultural anthropologist out of Duke University, he admitted that the 19th century physical anthropologists drew species correlations between anatomical features and supposed behavioral traits of the various races.
Exactly.
So in other words, these immigrants of Jewish or other European or African descent of the 19th century, or rather the 1800s, purposely created and cultivated the science of anthropology with highly regarded racial discriminatory, very identical to the pseudoscientific concepts designed and utilized by Francis Galton that he called eugenics, right along with his predecessor, Charles Darwin, with his theory of evolution and natural selection, in which I mentioned more about this on my documentary called What's the Real Identity of an African American? I highly recommend that you watch that video as well.
We're going to try that.
Getting back to Melville, he abruptly halted his studies at the Hebrew Union College and then moved on to complete his graduate studies at Columbia University. What's very important to note here is while working on his master's and PhD, Melville found himself under the guidance of his professor named Franz Boas.
Don't forget, guys,
in Africa, based solely on the fact that we all share the same hue of complexion, manipulative indoctrination.
Don't forget, if I'm skipping past some of the stuff, check out Dane Calloway. Check out Dane Calloway. We got other stuff to get to.
For example, Franz promoted an idea that Negroes residing in America are all somehow descendants of Africans in Africa, based solely on the fact that we all share the same hue of complexion. And that's it, meaning that's all of the evidence he had. Now, keep in mind that this was the first time ever in history where people overheard rumors that Negroes are somehow Africans now. Then the Harvard-taught sociologist and one of the co-founders of the NAACP and the first so-called person of color to even earn a doctorate at this time, named W.E.B. Du Bois, took this fictitious idea to new heights, being as though he was considered to be a person of color, providing another side of social engineering influence amongst people that shared his same hue of complexion. In fact, Franz Boas influenced W.E.B. Du Bois in his
Look at their hands. Look at their hands.
A professor of sociology, economics, even while being.
Look at their hands. Look where their thumbs are at. I'm trying to tell you guys, this damn hand signals and stuff been out forever. It been out for a long time. These fraternities and frats and all this 3 and all this other brotherhood. Look at their legs. One hole in their hand this way, one leg is that. Their hands are still folded the same, with one thumb on top of the other thumb pointing. You have to look at that. That's enough, brother. He sort of kind of sold us out. But we keep thinking greatness of people because they come from these prestigious colleges, not knowing they done sold you out. They done sold you out. And now you know why they don't come back to the community. Now you see why they don't come back to the community. Look at it. That's a brotherhood. Let's go.
A professor of sociology, economics, and history at Atlanta University. France taught and told Melville Herskovich, along with his other students, and even W.E.B. Du Bois, what to do and what not to do by sending private letters back and forth throughout the years of the early 1900s. Then soon after his fictitious idea transitioned into a plan, it was later implemented into U.S. history books systematically. But of course, France had assistance, and the majority of this assistance is credited to Melville, being as though he began to create the anthropometric studies of the so-called African Americans, while simultaneously releasing science fictional and general fictional books, like, for example, The Cattle Complex in East Africa in 1926. This science of anthropology dramatically changed once Melville introduced his out-of-Africa theory, during a time when biological theories still prevailed in anthropology during the late 1920s, in which the underlying belief was that so-called blacks were genetically inferior to whites. Now, in order to draw all of the credit and attention to his own work for possible federal funding, Melville mysteriously but yet purposely had a falling out with W.E.B. Du Bois and began to state that Du Bois's work is inaccurate and filled with propaganda, sabotaging Du Bois's, quote, Encyclopedia Africana project by burning its credibility straight to the ground. Soon after that, Melville gained higher political power, then quickly received funding from wealthy private foundations and multiple federal government agencies, like the National Research Council, for example, which was established by special request from President Woodrow Wilson in 1916. What's very important to note here is Du Bois's reputation was purposely attacked by the same people that established it in the first place. In other words, Du Bois pledged himself under a form of order by a particular prominent group of wealthy Jews to help assist with manipulating the minds of those he could reach. And as soon as that goal was met, Du Bois's entire operation was shut down. And even Du Bois himself tried his very best to bring multiple prominent people of color down along with him. Side note, you would consistently see Du Bois and Booker T. Washington side by side for a very particular reason.
Hello.
By the way, it
Saw
is
that.
not a coincidence that soon after these so-called black men visited each and every prosperous black Wall Street across America, bring multiple prominent people of color. Soon after these so-called black men visited each and every prosperous black Wall Street.
Look at that.
It's very important to
see when you go back, you're gonna see how much. All we do is sell each other out, and we continuously sell each other out because for us to have gotten to them colleges and stuff, they had to take that oath too. And they were sent in our communities too. But they tell you to read these books. Look at the two prominent people that we still talk about today. We don't want to say they sold us out. They sold us out. They sold us out.
Note here is Du Bois's reputation was purposely attacked by the same people that established it in the first place. In other words, Du Bois pledged himself under a form of order by a particular prominent group of wealthy Jews to help assist with manipulating the minds of those he could reach.
Now, nobody don't want to say, hey, W.E.B. Du Bois, he was sent here to make us think one thing, to put this in our heads. We hate. That's why, You know what? It's so much. I said that's why I said I don't care which history book you read from here to the beginning. All you see is a bunch of people selling each other out. That's all you see: sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. War, 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 war. Sell out, sell out, sell out, sell out. War, 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 war. And war consists of slaves and stuff like that. How much history do you need to know? We read upon these men all the time, not knowing that they sold us out. They sold us out.
And as soon as that goal was met, DuBose's entire operation was shut down. And even DuBose himself tried his very best to bring multiple prominent people of color down along with him. Side note, you would consistently see DuBose and Booker T. Washington side by side for a very particular.
Look at that. Look at these two people we love. We love them. We love them. Y'all better be glad. Y'all better be so glad we ain't got no leaders. Y'all better be so happy we need lead. No, the hell we don't need no leaders. Y'all better figure it out. You better figure out you and your household. You better figure out how to raise your kids and make your kids the best. Question. So is that the video saying that the USA was a black continent? They keep no, and it wasn't a trap. You got to remember, Miss White, what whitewashing really means. So we keep saying white people, but at a particular point in time, they were not white people. They became white people so they can get privileges. White, that's why they call it white privileges. So to get privileges, they had to call themselves white, but they wasn't originally white. They was originally Jewish. Originally German, originally Russian, originally Spaniards, originally. So now they had to give up saying that also to become white. I don't know if I'm gonna show y'all. I'll probably show y'all that video tomorrow. I'll probably show you guys that. That's where they get whitewashed from, actually. The term whitewash really is a term for white people who had to give up they didn't give up their history. They know their history, but they had to give up calling themselves Russian, Irish. They had to give up saying that so they can get privileges here. So they all became one, but they still know the differences of each other, unlike us. Unlike us who became black, see, they became white, but they know the differences. We became black, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And we got two sets of people that refuse to claim us. We got our Indian ancestors who refuse to claim us, and we have our African ancestors that refuse to claim us. Oh God, Jesus. I think Ms. Rod said it best. I don't know if she said it yesterday, but I think you need to just really start with, in this video, it basically goes back to what she was saying. You better start back with the fourth generation. Your fourth generation, I think you better start there before you start going so far back. You better start with the third and fourth generation, because technically that's where all your history really lies at. It relies in them. What does their birth certificate say will give you a clue to who you are. Are you Indian? Are you a slave? Was you already on this land? Did you come to this land? Cause we kind of think that we black but got Indian blood. No, we Indian and got African blood. We got as they would say, the slave blood. We Indian first and got slave blood mixed with us, as they would say, or African blood mixed with us. We ain't mixed with them. They mixed with us. And we'll leave it just like that. They'll leave it just like that, but they don't think it's the other way around. They think it's that. No, it's the other way around. And everybody else searching for the Indian blood but Black Americans. Everybody else searching for it. You see, if you go further back, you even had the white man saying, hey, oh, you is beyond late, but you driving, so it's okay. Jackie, make sure you rewind the tape. Thanks for support, but rewind it so you can get an idea what we're talking about. But definitely catch the replay, because we kind of, yeah. But hey, my Jackie baby. Yeah, but like I said, we too busy telling the story backwards. Everything we saying is backwards. So when we see our Indian people, we don't feel connected to them, but somehow we do feel connected to them. And you wonder why I feel connected to them. And a lot of us feel like we're part of this land. And you get people getting mad because, no, you're African. You need to be get into your African culture. But you notice that some Black people just can't do it. You know why you can't do it? Because your family is from this land. Your ancestors are from here. And your DNA keep letting you feel comfortable here. Because this is your land. This is your land. Oh, I took a DNA ancestry test. Okay. But like I said, in order for you to know about history, you must study maps. You must see what's along the shores, like what's the connecting countries or the connecting states. I mean states. Well, you can say states if you're here, but all the connecting pieces, like what was right next to the Nile River? Like what part of Europe was like right next to Africa that they was able to just like to take that boat and come like right over? And then you got to see what was removed. We got to see what was added and what was removed. Because them people are still here. Their generations are still here. Their kids are still here.
The reason, and by the way, it is not a coincidence that soon after these so-called Black men visited each and every prosperous Black Wall Street across America, these areas dubbed as Negro or Black Wall Streets were immediately destroyed in more ways than just one. Now, around this time, Melville was...
That's another history test. We gotta get in. Now I gotta do more history on that. Damn. We gotta find out what happened after them predominant Black men went. And did you hear him say Black Wall Streets with an S? Did you hear him say Black Wall Streets with the S? Had an S to it. Had an S there. Why we don't know about the other ones? We got some homework to do. We have some homework.
single-handedly emerging as an iconic figure in areas dubbed as Negro or Black Wall Streets were immediately destroyed in more ways than just one. Now, around this time, Melville was single-handedly emerging as an iconic figure in America. But the so-called funding that he received that I mentioned earlier was not to help him with researching and discovering publicly verifiable evidence as the story loves to claim. No, the funding was yet an advancement of his salary, set up for him to be paid to create and produce a story that millions of people were unfamiliar with. What I mean by that is, Melville is solely responsible for expanding the lines of storytelling, in which in turn it was later considered to be American history, by completely reversing the records of historic information by creating a fictional story about African slaves immigrating to the Americas by way of the Spaniards during the 1500s. This story is known as the Middle Passage. However, prior to Melville's fictional story, no information existed in history that clearly mentioned that the so-called Negroes of the American lands literally came from Africa. It was said that Melville allegedly took a trip to somewhere in Africa, meaning that there is absolutely no record of this, just a story, gathered up a few artifacts from there, observed a few tribes and a few cultures, and dubbed it as Africanism, then traveled back to the U.S., wrote a book called The Myth of the Negro Past, and published it in 1942 in the fictional section, where he claimed that the people of color in America somehow lost connection with their cultural past during the Middle Passage from Africa to the Americas. So the question remains, why was Melville instructed and paid to create such a fictional story that was later dubbed as facts? Then, why would people that did not originate from this land, but fought and died to immigrate to it and colonize it, try to dominate your thinking by indoctrinating your mind into believing that you belong to somewhere other than your own home? And if you choose to believe it, you just may lose yourself and everything you own. Now, why is it important to tell you where your ancestors derived from? Because the truth lies in the knowledge of what this land really holds. And your children are the sole inheritors. But if you freely leave what is rightfully yours, then who becomes the beneficiary? I'm just here to make
Boy, our heritage is the biggest rabbit hole ever. It's the biggest rabbit hole ever. But one thing I could say is we've been abandoned by our Indian side and our African side, because we have to have slaves that came here because there were slaves that were here. We have to have African blood in us because it's in our DNA. This part we know, but the other part we didn't connect is our Indian history. That's our mother and father, Indian and African. That's our mother and our father. Them are both our ancestors that they want us to leave out, and we want to keep saying, oh, what happened to the Indians? We don't say my people. We always say my people after we be enslaved. When I mean mother and father, I mean as in land, as in land, as in land. That's why I say your mother, your father, not your brother, your father. I don't know. But a lot of us have Indian blood, as they will call it, because we were here. So if you have Indian blood, this your land. This your land. But they're not hiding it from them. Remember, we just finding this out, but even with the information that we find out, you ain't doing nothing about it. It's a freaking wrap. It's a wrap. They don't care if you study Egypt, you can study Africa, you can study the Indians. It don't even matter no more. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What really matters now is what we doing now. Oh, yes, it does matter. No, to them it doesn't matter. To us it might matter. Because we got two sets of people that won't claim us. You think them people that them Indian natives, them Indians, you think they're not claiming us. They're not claiming us. Our African people, they not claiming us. Ain't nobody claiming us. So you could do all the research you want for you, but in all reality, it's what you're doing today. Here we go again, Jackie. They were Cherokee, so I could see the Indian in you actually, but that means this is your land. So you are no longer, I keep telling y'all, we have it backwards. If Indian, listen carefully, guys. If Indian is in your blood, that means this is your land and you are Indian. The African part is you're not black with Indian blood. You're Indian with African blood. Your bloodline don't change. That means you are Cherokee. That means the blackness that you have in you, that's when the Africans were here. That's when they got here. So you Indian first and you're African second. We always say it, oh, I'm black with Indian. No, I'm Indian with African blood. From wherever tribe they're from. We're the only people. And it's good that you was able to trace that. So, but the thing is, they don't claim us. Because if Jackie go right now and go, hey, I'm Indian, they're gonna be like, get up out of here. And then you go to Africa and you say, hey, I'm African, they're gonna like, get up on out of here.
You feel what I'm saying? So I want y'all to know all of this happened when you just accepted it. Yeah. First one, forced off the land by who? It's George Washington. First one. First one. So it's important that I told y'all, black is a racial slur. Black is a racial
still living
slur. Do you understand? It is a racial slur when directed at a specific minority group in America y'all call African American. It's a racial slur. And America was built on racism. Like I said, if you're operating out of black, white, and all of it, you are a racist and operating out of the Anglo-Saxon society thought process. You're a Klansman. Hold up, let me So listen to this. It ain't that long. It ain't that long.
Those of you that say Black Lives Matter, I feel sorry for you. Do you really believe you have a black life?
Of documenting a person's classification of race
Facts.
by the color of their skin in which they see, or their best personal opinion of what an individual should be generally.
Now, all of this started in the inception of America. This is what I want y'all to know. They say America, what this shit goes back to George Washington. Who's the first president? Martin Luther King? Who's the first president of the United States? Is that Abraham Lincoln? Oh, that's 16. Who's the first president? It's George Washington. Press 1. Remember I told y'all about the Confederacy? The North and the South coming together, sticking the you 3/4 of a man Constitution over the Bill of Rights over you? Making you nothing? And that's when you signed up. It's all the contract. But listen, all of this was going on with George Washington. This is the Virginia company at its finest. Press 1.
Racially classified as. These particular individuals were entitled as census enumerators, also known as census takers.
Census enumerators. Google that. Take notes. Or census takers. Shout out to Dane. He been paying attention. This is what's going on.
Or
this is paper genocide.
The U.S. Marshals, who are federally government unsupervised employees.
Federal government unsupervised employees. They are federalists and the only one contracted within his nation to be in a position that there's law.
That was said to have allegedly gone from town to town, city to city, and door to door, deciding who was of what race, and then documented the families they meet as such. The marshals, or the census enumerators, had and still has a mammoth amount of influence on genealogy records. In fact, what they informally documented on a sheet of paper was literally based on their individual opinions, and then later deemed as official records that were sacrosanct, leading to hundreds of years of whatever the census takers' ideas of race were officially credited as historical facts of information. So, in simpler terms, these census takers were provided strict instructions by the government to record the ethnic category of various family members based on their perception of the family when they visited.
Press 1. But this is the problem that I have.
I'm gonna fast forward this a little bit.
With my brothers like Dan Calloway, I want to show y'all something. Stop putting these pictures up as if they was taking census of them. This is from what they were doing back in the day when they were changing R's into them. Press 1.
Exactly.
These are Asian.
I'm gonna fast forward a little bit because I showed that in the beginning, the actual thing.
People. These are not North American Indian. This is not Native American, Dan Calloway.
Exactly.
If you understand what I'm saying, press 1, please. They came over here on Ellis Island. There's no way they could have been free. What if they got you enslaved? What if they stole your name and gave you theirs, which was nothing? Black slave.
Okay, Jackie.
Servant, because they was all indentured servant. Press 1. Came here to work. That's it. I'm trying to figure out how they beat you. And that's the only way I know, is that they took your name. They took your name, G. Press 1. They took your name. The only way they can do that is influx of white women and foreign women on us, the black man. Press 1. That's the only way they can do is get us to like the foreigners and all of this. And then those kids become the mulattoes, and then they become the whichever. Press 1. It's time to think about history correctly. I don't care about your feelings tonight. It's night school, adults. Y'all know what time it is. Everybody hit that like button.
Yeah, hit that like button.
We be over there chilling. That's cool. We over there chilling in the morning. That's what's up.
Mhm.
Hit the like button. Thank you. And once again, shout out to Dan Calloway, because it takes courage to put this type of information out. I just want people to make sure that
Exactly.
my audience, mine, that they understand from the Natural History Live Museum they call Human Zoos to what they see. Don't be thrown off by illustration, right? What they say in the chat room, illustrationati. It's the same things that's in the Bible, just little white folk. It's the same trick. It's the same trick. Watch it now. Press what? It's the same one, just. You ain't nowhere around, is you? You ain't nowhere around nothing, is you? You just moping around the world. Just like Deuteronomy says, everything you invent, they gonna take this. It's time we wake up, family. We in a special position. Ain't nothing better than waking up. Let's listen.
And then free persons of color, then mulatto, and family when they visited. So if you are attempting to find and interpret data about your family's history, these results can be confusing, especially if in one census your family has been recorded under the category all other free persons or slaves, and then free persons of color, then mulatto.
Now, all of this, all of these different phrases is your introduction into debt bondage. Do you got me? All of these terms of them taking that sentence was you accepting the role. Do you hear me? I ain't gonna be around too long letting you telling y'all this. Listen to me. Is you accepting the role within the store, the company store, which is Virginia, which is the president, George Washington. No, you accepted it. You feel what I'm saying? So you gotta. I want y'all to know all of this happened when you just accepted it. Name black went along with your downfall.
And even black. During the earlier years of census taking, there were no categories for Indian at all, while in later census records, Indians were recorded all in one categoric group known as free people of color. Most census of today are mysteriously skipping the classification of race altogether, meaning that this particular portion of a birth certificate, for example, is purposely left blank, but only for people ranging from light to dark brown skin complexions. In part,
Now why is the birth certificates left blank? You see? Why is the birth certificate left blank?
one of the segment, I shared congressional records uncommonly known by the public that details the truth about census records and why the choice of your family's classification of race was solely up to the individual census taker of that particular area and not your family members. The complexity of census records is in fact outrageously discombobulating, but still very utilitarian for research purposes and enthralling nonetheless. During the early half of the year 1790, Congress assigned full responsibility of census taking to the marshals of the U.S. judicial districts under an act that governed census taking through the years 1790 to 1840. It was then called
that was Virginia Company
of the 1790 Census Act, having been signed by then President George Washington, Vice President John Adams, and the Speaker of the House, Frederick Muhlenberg, on March 1st, 1790. During this time period, there were many open political debates.
Now, why the 1790? Now watch this one. Watch this one. Y'all ready to go deep? When did the British outlaw slavery? Press one. See, when you know your dates, everything open up. And who the stockholders of the Virginia Company, which is why they went to war for you. Yes, sir. This is consciousness at its greatest potential right now. You're talking about, I'm trying to tell you, 1790.
Frederick Muhlenberg
Enforced
on
it.
March 1st, 1790.
So these nations had to formulate a way to trick you out of position.
During this time period, there were many open political debates about who should be counted. And they also struggled with the idea of allowing indentured servants to be counted equally as the same as free whites.
See? This was about them. Indentured servants, it's these people. Facts.
There was an economic structure already in place to this entire governmental construct that was not limited to taxation only, which sparked the debate with Northerners wanting slaves or indentured servants to be counted as equivalent of free whites, as the Southerners did not. Eventually, there was a compromise established, and August 2nd, 1790 marked the date of the official census day. According to the Census Bureau, the 1790 law required that, quote, every household be visited, that completed census schedules be posted in two of the most public places within each jurisdiction, there to remain for the inspection of all concerned, and that the aggregate amount of each description of persons for every district be transmitted to the president. Census enumerators were required to record a total of 6 inquiries in the 1790s.
This one that was taking names.
Census.
Press 1. Press 1. Press 1. They was taking names. They was taking names. You know they was taking names, boy. Press 1. Who names they take? Everybody's. Press 1. Everybody's. Press 1. There you go, right there. He took it all. Right there. They had it right there. Boy, these cold people. I'm trying to tell you, they got your name. Got your name, they got your heritage. Your firstborn become their firstborn. Your land become theirs. Fast. Real fast. All they want you to do is sign right here. You? That's black. Yeah, that's you right there. I'm white. You black, see? Make sense? That's all it's saying on this paperwork. Sign right there, right there. Don't worry about nothing. Yeah, it ain't nothing. Nah, it ain't. It's black, white. No, this is a way of labeling. Fucking, that was a cold way to label your ass, wasn't it? Press 1. And they switched your identity with them. People who came over for Ellis Island. And got us. And then raise you up in the mid 1900s, 20s, 30s, and 40s as if you came from Africa. Press 1. Teaching you every sin. Oh, we was fighting the North, and we ran the British out of here. Did you believe that? That's why we all American. Yeah, we all American. Yeah, come here. You ain't no damn all Americans, nothing. The British outlawed slavery. These Americans are really the Dutch and the French and the rest of them. These the betrayers right here. Press 1. These the people y'all love so much. These the betrayers right here stuck with you. Their freedom is your captivity. Their white privilege is your downfall. Tell you what, if it wasn't the case, tell them let you borrow white privilege for 10 years. Just 10 years, just roll reverse. That's all you need. They hell no. They barely want to do CRT in Texas. They just outlawed CRT in Texas. Don't be teaching that shit down here in Martin Luther King shit. Ku Klux Klan is bad. Anglo-Saxon. That's America. You goddamn right. I tell you what, white people, your grandfather's gonna be mad at y'all. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna tell you. They're gonna say, when you listen here, y'all right now. Y'all right, damn it. But I tell you what, without us taking everything, you wouldn't have nothing right now. You're going to say, what? Without us taking everything, Susie, you wouldn't have nothing now. So you've been participating too. No, I was, yeah. That's how it is. That's how it is. Shout out to the fam.
Calling for the names of the heads of each household and the number of persons in each house.
Now, who the head of each household? The dad, right? So if they calling for the name of each head of household at the time, then who is it? Who's the controller of your nation? The man. Press 1. That's where the seed come through for the heritage. Press 1. Facts. It's a dirty game, y'all. It's a dirty game. They want the head of the household.
Exactly. And you have to remember, you got to remember, like he's saying, the head, and we had this argument before, not you guys, but people who like to contest what we seen right in our face. If the man was at war, or if a man wasn't there, he was not head of the household, the woman was. And if the woman was a slave woman, the white man would be the head of her household. She would not even be considered the head of the household. But we do know it's not the black man. It's not the black man. In the beginning, when they was doing this, it wasn't the black man. He wasn't the head of the household. And then when slavery was over and the men wasn't there, the women became head of the household. Same way when, quote unquote, they like to bring up welfare. If the man was not on the lease and the woman was on the lease, you got to remember, and I've tried to break it down before, which we'll go back over that again. But most likely, if a young girl and a young guy had a baby, 9 times out of 10, the girl was still living with her mother and he was still living with her father, with his father. She was living with her parents, singular or plural, and he was still living with his parents, singular or plural. They didn't, and that baby was born in the mother's household. The man still wasn't head of the household. And then when, depending on how many kids the mother had, and now she got this grandbaby to take care of. Now, when it was time for the daughter to move out and she got the apartment, now the man could have went and got a job and got an apartment and became head of the household, but he did not. A lot of these young boys did not. So when the women got these apartments and the welfare was available to them, then they got on public assistance. But the man was never in the household and got kicked out. So the same rule applies here. But we'll carry on.
What is your name? His name is everything, not you and makeup. Press 1. Not you and feelings. His name is the blessing. Press 1. His name is the blessing. And you can get him off his position, but he don't know his name, and we can keep her off balance, and she don't know her position. And we got a whole nation forever and ever. Willie Lynch let her this. We got slaves, debtors forever. Put them in a little ghetto. They can call it a hood. Get our entertainers to dress it up as something cool, like Ice Cube or something. Had them kids out there shooting and killing each other like nothing. We'll use dope money to pay for our wars. Do them. They like to shoot each other anyway and sell drugs. That's one. I'm trying to tell you how it go. Your daughter's gonna go off and marry. They're gonna become different names and all type of things. Your son and your family, I encourage everybody to get a big old picture of themselves and sit it in the living room while they eat. And I bet your confidence go up 75%. I'm finna get me one. Just sit in the back in American General gear, just for no damn reason. Just here, General Gillespie. He fought back in the internet. He's a goddamn war
Yeah,
general
it's so
on the
stupid.
internet.
Don't forget to check
That's what
out
I'm gonna do.
Kev Gills. He have another channel, something conservative. Kev be on it like the Green Hornet. Kev be on it. He be on it like the Green Hornet. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna learn, and everything at the same time. Now press 1. Now press 1. We haven't said that in a while. Now press 1.
Gotta feel good out here, family.
Enslaves.
And we the slaves. Press 1. They gonna be free white males. They gonna be free white males over 16, under 16. White female. You going in as slave.
The marshals or census enumerators were instructed to identify free white males by age brackets. It was noted that this tactic was designed to determine the country's industrial and military capability.
I told you, but let's be real. They was jotting down these names as if they was on a ship called the Lithuanian or the Titanic or something. They came over here. They just want walking around and white people everywhere. No. Y'all are missing a big chunk of Black America prosperity, okay? Okay, that's what y'all missing. Y'all can't fathom a world where they came over here and tricked you out of this place. You just think you was an Indian before they came. Good one. No. You were so great. And this place was already here. Okay? That Statue of Liberty just got there. Given by the French who helped enslave you and call you black and put the Statue of Liberty there so the people can come in through Ellis Island, which is the island of the Statue of Liberty, and get their freedom. Don't you get it?
Nope.
Damn.
Nope, they ain't not gonna get it.
Damn, I'm good.
Oh, stop it.
Capabilities. And whoever refused to answer the enumerators' questions were assessed a hefty fine of $25 at that time. Under the general direction of the Secretary of State, Thomas.
What was the hefty fine? $25. I told you the price of a ticket was. What I say the cost of your freedom was. Press 1. Todd, didn't I just ask this? Tell me this. What's the cost of your freedom? Press 1. I told you I was going to free everybody. Y'all bypassed the most important information on the planet. What's the cost of a ticket? No. What's the cost of a ticket? Y'all didn't hear me the other day. I said, what's the cost of a ticket? Dan Calloway just said it. If you couldn't prove who you was, you got a ticket. You didn't get beat upside, you got a fine. What's the fine? I told you in debt bondage because you couldn't pay your ticket. Same thing happened to me in 20 and something. I can pay all my damn tickets. They said, come here, nigga. Come here. Before you go on with your life, we want to talk to you real quick, sir. What do you want? Time is money. What do you want? Let me go. Damn it. What do you want? Oh, that. Oh, that was so long ago. I forgot about it. Check the record. Double check. Yeah, time is money. Give me my fee. You see? Time is money, baby. Time is money. You feel me? Todd, I knew you was going to get it.
Of instructional specifications stating, quote, omit throughout the 1800s that I want to go over with you.
12.
Starting in the 1790s, census takers were notified of instructional specifications stating, quote, omitting Indians not taxed, distinguishing free persons, including those bound to service, from all others. During the year 1800, these instructions were slightly adjusted, stating that Indians...
Yeah, I have to listen carefully. Listen, even though it's played in the beginning, but for the people that just coming in, listen carefully.
Living off of reservations and not wild should be recorded in the all other free persons column of the census form. The 1800 census classification options were free white, slave, and all other free persons. So we can easily determine that they have added the word persons to the already established category, all other free, which was used in the 1790 census 10 years prior. Interesting enough, the Indians living in the wild, generally meaning plains, and the Indians in the West or on reservations.
The reservations was the live zoos, animals. You got me? This is where they kept these Indian folk to go visit them on a live habitat, as if they were living in a natural habitat back home. Remember that. Remember that. All of those Indian reservations is within federal government territory. Those was nothing but shit to validate and misplace you and put them there.
Not taxed, but those who were enumerated were recorded in the all other free column in the 1790 census. Once the Constitution called for a census of all persons excluding Indians not taxed, many other adjustments were made towards the classifications taken by the enumerators, mainly due to the sole purpose of apportioning seats in the House of Representatives and assessing direct federal taxes. On March 2nd, 1807, then President Thomas Jefferson signed an act to prohibit the importation of slaves into any port or place with the jurisdiction of the United States. This act...
Why?
It's coming, Miss Rod. It's coming.
The British, the British, a year before, in the 1700s, just like I said, abolished slavery. So the white American, within their colonies, of course, within the colonies, their company, they chose to revolt against the British. They wanted slavery. Press one. And they making it seem like today they revolted against British for their independence. No, you didn't. You voted to keep slavery. And you went to war with Britain over it.
Deemed it unlawful to, quote, import or bring into the United States or the territories thereof from any foreign kingdom, place, or country, any Negro, mulatto, or person of color with intent to hold, sale.
So 1772, they abolished slavery. 1776, the birth of what you consider America today. What you consider America today. Press one. A few years later, Independence Day. Remember? What you think they went to? What you think the? This is cold, baby. It's a cold war.
Or dispose of such Negro, mulatto, or person of color as a slave, or to be held to service or labor.
Listen.
So, or person of mulatto or person of color, signed an act to prohibit the importation of slaves into any port or place with the jurisdiction of the United States. This act deemed it unlawful to, quote, import or bring into the United States or the territories thereof from any foreign kingdom, place, or country, any Negro, mulatto, or person of color with intent to hold, sell, or dispose of such Negro, mulatto, or person of color as a slave, or...
You see, they had to mimic Britain, because that's what they had to do.
To be held to service or labor, end quote. This act came into effect as of January 1st, 1808. Keep that in mind. These familiar terms that I just mentioned, like Negro, mulatto, and person of color, were not used as the official classifications of race on the census during this time period of 1808. In fact, just 2 years later, in 1810, there were very few adjustments made to this third census, making Indians living off of reservations now recorded in the All Others column of the census form. This time around, the options were free white, slave, and all other, in replacement for the 1790 and 1800 census option that read all other free and all other free persons.
This is wild. You can see as they gradually walked you down like Floyd Mayweather in the 7th and 8th.
Soon after that, the War of 1812 made American history.
What did it do?
It was a war declared by then President James Madison because of the discovery of Great Britain supporting many Indians with rebelling against white settlers.
Say it again, Dan Calloway. Say it again. Say it again.
The War of 1812 made American history. It was a war declared by then President James Madison because of the discovery of Great Britain supporting many Indians with rebelling against white settlers squatting in America.
I told you.
This war between the United States and Great Britain lasted until the year 1815. And then 5 years later, the 1820 census made some critical adjustments to the classifications of race on
Come
their
on,
forms.
Dang.
This time, the Indians that were living off of reservations were recorded in the free colored persons category. Note that this is the very first time ever in history where the census utilizes the term colored.
See?
That's because they wasn't operating out of color. Once they got you, once they start operating out
That's
of color.
what I was trying to tell y'all. The census, the beginning, when they started the census, wasn't about the black people. It was about the white people and our forefathers, the Indians. It wasn't about black people yet. And it was about who were considered American and who was still considered Britain. Remember, we broke off from Britain. We ain't break off from Britain. They came here to our land from Britain. They came here to our land from Britain. So it was slaves. They didn't even call it addition. I don't know if they call them Indian. But now you see how we all became black. I'm just trying to show you how we all became black. But I don't know if he's going to get to the $5 Indians, Miss Rod. But it's in this. The $5 Indian is in this video. It's in the video though. I don't know if it's on this particular one because he's going over basically what I went over already. He's just giving his point of view, which I like his point of view. I like Kev's point of view. He does a phenomenal job. But I don't know, like I said, I don't know if he's going to get into the $5, but it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
It was a wrap. That's why. Once they got you to operate out of color, it was a wrap. They already walked you down before, piece by piece.
Options included on the form were free whites, slaves, and then all.
Because free whites, all the white people became Indians or Americans. Press 1. They became $5 Indians. Press 1. Them don't look like Indians to me, Elizabeth Warren. All the white people are Indians, family. This is why when you look at the Indians, they all white people. And white people are what? When did they become white? So it's important for us to know when and how. I'm giving y'all that.
No, we're gonna probably do that
It's
tomorrow.
important to know
When did they come white?
How they became white as a collective to steal your identity. Do you understand?
And then, and make it so bad, I did a video, and I don't think I will be able to even explain it the way I did in that video, but the video is gone. The video has disappeared. It disappeared. And it was showing up how we became white or something like that, or when they became white. However, the video was gone. It's gone. But I think Panamanian Princess, it's crazy. I'm glad she sent that clip to me, because that clip was on that video, amongst other things that was on that video. But like I said, we will be getting to that maybe tomorrow. Or I may do Juneteenth. I don't know. Who knows?
Okay.
All others except Indians not taxed. So, generally speaking, the phrase Indians not taxed is referring to the Indians living on reservations under the aid and care of government agencies or roaming individuals, or in bands over settled tracts of the country. But need I remind you that according to the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary, which was 8 years after the census, the noun American is defined as a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, or copper-colored races found here by the Europeans, but now applied.
Shout out Dave Calloway. I'm sorry. I'm fucking had a mental fucking orgasm. Jeez Louise, Dave. Slow down, champion. Slow down.
To the descendants of Europeans born in America.
They got you.
Then, the very next year, on March 4th, 1829, Andrew Jackson began his presidency in the White House.
Here it comes,
Then
y'all.
on February 22nd, 1830, Senator Hugh White proposed a bill from the Committee on Indian Affairs called the Indian Removal Act.
You hear that?
According to the Library of Congress, the Indian Removal Act was signed into law by then President Andrew Jackson on May 28, 1830, authorizing the president to grant unsettled lands west of the Mississippi River in exchange for Indian lands within existing state borders. A few tribes were said to have left peacefully, but millions resisted the relocation policy and stayed put throughout the southern lands of America. By the 1850 census, 20 years later, another change took place, whereas the categories for race were now white, black, and mulatto. What is very important to note is that if a person looked light or
You
mean,
remember the $5 rule? I mean, the one drop rule too. That's that one drop rule too, down.
to dark brown skin in complexion,
They ain't get to the one drop rule,
the
right?
census takers recorded them
Slow down,
as
Kev.
M for mulatto.
Slow down, Kev. They didn't get to the one drop rule yet. That's going to be changed now. It's going to be changed now. That's why I say, in order for us to truly understand who we are, I keep saying it again, we got to research our history here first. People want to leave out of America to jot their history. You got to start here first. You got to know all America's dirty little secrets first before you go taking on another whole continent's culture and beliefs and all this other stuff. You got to figure out where you at here first. Where am I here? Who am I here? Who am I here? That's what we need to do. We all over the place. We got to start somewhere. So the next place you start is your mother. Next place you start will be your grandmother. The next place you start will be your great grandmother, or whomever that farthest that you can go. And then your great grandmother, then your great great grandmother. They want you to start from the top. No, you got to work your way down and then work your way up. You start from the closest one to you. Then you work your way up. Because you have to know if this is your land. And you have to know that if you have African blood in you, that's because they came to your land and mixed with your people. So that's why you have Indian and African American blood. But in all reality, you're Indian with African blood. It's not the other way around. But we've been conditioned, and these census show you how they kept changing the rules around. You need to know where you fit in these rules. You got to see how we all became colored. So it wasn't the one drop rule yet. It was plain old mulatto. That means you was half and half. You was 50. You was 50 and 50. Then they changed the rules to damn that 50% stuff. If you got any of these people blood in you, you all black now. We ain't even claim. We're not even claiming you no more. We're not claiming you. We taking away your 50%. And if you got one drop in you that we even know about. Remember, they didn't have the blood tests and stuff then. There were no blood tests then. That didn't come around till a little bit later. So a lot of people ran away, especially if you looked white. They ran away. So you ain't know that you wouldn't be caught up with that one drop rule. You could say I'm 100% white. So they got out of Dodge. So you couldn't track down who their mother was and who their father was or who their grandparents was, because you didn't want to get caught up in that one drop rule, because that one drop meant that you are now considered colored. You all the way colored. You're not part of us no more. We're not claiming you, nothing. Well, let's go.
According to the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary, mulatto is defined as, quote, a person that is the offspring of a negress by a white man or of a white woman by a Negro, end quote.
It's a mix. Baby.
According to the 8th edition of the Collins Spanish Language Dictionary, the term negress is defined as an offensive word describing a woman or girl of color, or negra,
or negro.
I think most people think
like I told you guys before, they didn't get the word Negro out of nowhere. But they were like, no, we don't want to see the maps. But we still call each other Negro, not knowing that there is an actual place called Negro land. They didn't just jump out the sky and call you I ain't even get to the nigga is I'm gonna call you a nigga or a ninja instead of calling you a Negro. But Negro is where a lot of our ancestors come from too. And a lot of the Indians' ancestors came from Negro land also. That's why they were so quick to say that's where they get the word Negro from. So we could be called a Negro, and our forefathers called Negro because they know they pulled the people, they went and took the people from Negro land and then had the audacity to take it off the fucking map. So we don't need, so when we hear the word ninja, we don't understand that we are Negroes. We had land. We come from a whole different land. And it is in that area that they looped together and called Africa. But back then it was not called Africa. We were from Negro land. We just like to just throw ourselves with the whole. No, we were from Negro land, and they knew they took people from Negro land, and they called them Negroes, because that's what they are. And as long as we still exist, then Negro land still exists.
Is about counting, and that's what I thought. It's really an exercise in counting before I started to do research, and I started to look back since 1790 of how we counted Americans along racial and ethnic lines, and back then it was color, and there was a controversy then who should be counted, and should slaves who were black be counted the same as free whites?
No, because they role reversed. So in order for us to count as one white person, it have to be 4, 5 of us. Press 1. He finna tell you, listen to what she say. Listen to what she say. You gotta be 3/4 of a human being. How the Constitution say this about you? The Bill of Rights don't say that about you. Why does the Constitution say that it's about you?
Back then it was color, and there was a controversy then who should be counted, and should slaves who were black be counted the same as free whites?
We got left behind.
And because there's money involved and taxation involved, there was a big debate. The Northerners wanted slaves to be counted as the equivalent of free whites, and the Southerners didn't, and they agreed on a compromise that blacks slaves would be counted as 3/5 of a white person. So in that sense, the census not only
they compromised, the American government and the Confederates. That's why the Constitution is a carbon copy of what? The Articles of the Confederacy. Press 1. Remember I was telling you guys? They compromised. Okay, we'll count. Let's just label them a fucking penny of a man. Press 1. Let's just put a penny in. Let's make them one of these. Are we worth these? You see? Press 1. But they freed the slave. Critical race theory in full effect tonight, ain't it?
Cemented the color line, but reinforced how we thought of race, racial inequalities. And these categories have constantly changed, which is really fascinating. I was saying backstage that in 1850, we had a category mulatto to try to capture the amount of racial mixing. In 1850, we had a category mulatto to try to capture the amount of racial mixing.
But how can you capture racial mixing in 1850 when blood testing was invented during the early 1930s?
See?
Because it wasn't.
See? Thank you. See?
It was about blood, but race mixing, it was a misconsignation or whatever the hell that race mixing thing was. Back in the day, it was to get one drop of semen, not DNA, blood. Semen is to get one of these niggas to sleep with your daughter. Press 1. You ever notice when one of these NBA people make it big, these foreigner wives come and get them? Because their children are locked in forever with their name. Like Kanye West, family associated Scotty. Capture. You got me?
Between blacks and whites. In 1890, I believe, they added octoroon and quadroon to try to get at precise racial mixtures between blacks and whites. And then in 1930, because there was so much racial mixing, they actually dropped that altogether and just used black for anyone with any
black.
trace of black
Yeah, we
ancestry.
can't even count them because they're growing. We can't even count them all. They black. Press 1. He said that they got them, they black.
between blacks and whites. And then in 1930, because there was so much racial mixing,
In the 30s,
they actually dropped that altogether and just used black for anyone with any trace of black ancestry. And hence this idea of the one drop rule.
So why is it a one drop rule instead of being an actual proven fact?
Which has stayed so pervasive in the minds of Americans of who is black. And so as a result of all these practices, I think Americans have become very attuned to identifying blackness and constraining that racial category.
Restrained to force someone to follow a particular course of action. To constrain. To force someone to follow a particular course of action. You see? So when they use words, make sure you understand the definition. Shout out to Dan Calloway. To constrain, she said, that is to force someone, who's the someone, to a particular course of action, or the action being life.
In the instructions for
Remember, Tupac said, because being black hurts. And even worse, let me speak first. Life as outlaw, it can be worse. Fam, you feel me?
enumerators in the 1890 census, when it comes to color, sex, and age, the enumerators were instructed to be, quote, particularly careful to distinguish between blacks, mulattoes, quadroons, and octoroons. The word black should be used to describe those persons who have 3/4 or more black blood. Mulatto, those persons who have from 3/8 to 5/8 black blood. Quadroon, those persons who have 1/4 black blood.
That's the people like that was the head of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover.
And octoroon, those persons who have 1/8 or any trace of black blood.
Right.
End quote.
This
sounds a bit confusing to you, right? The U.S. government created separate freedmen's lists specifically designed to rule out all copper-colored Indians from receiving any newly established benefits and land allotments that they were entitled to. The U.S. government listed all full-blooded American Indians as black or colored as their classification of race documented inside of the 1900 census, while simultaneously, white U.S. citizens were allowed to become identified as Indians by simply paying the Dawes Commission a whopping total of just $5 for each white adult and child to be listed on the Dawes rolls, replacing those people that were initially on the form.
Now, Todd, it's time. Todd. Press one. Look at Todd. Press one if you're looking at Todd. Because Todd is going to tell you the truth. Todd, now? Yes, sir. Todd says, shit, I'm Irish, man. I ain't got shit to do with this, man. This is some bullshit. Corey's so quiet, we just don't even call him no more. Corey used to pop in every now and then, what am I going to tell my grandma? God damn it. Boy, it is going to hurt a little bit. It's going to hurt a little bit right here. $5, as you say. Elizabeth Warren. Remember Donald Trump said, don't look like Indians to me. That's... That was gold. Look like them damn bitches to me, G. Now, not my America. Press what? He know his America. Press what? Make America great again. He know his America. Damn it. Them don't look like them Indians we got. Make them Indians, bro. You feel me? Y'all gotta wake up. I love Trump for saying the realest shit. If them don't look, I'm gonna get a T-shirt. Y'all should order my T. Them don't look like Indians to me. With the / Donald Trump in my face right there with an Indian head right there. Gotcha. And get out of this one. The president said it. the president, not me. So what they did was they role reversed you. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
In the 1900s.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. God is good when you got Dan Calloway, the people. Who are these people talking about? Lampat, Janice, Aboriginals out there. Y'all know I be talking shit, but I love these people. I love everybody's a victim over there for Coffee and Kush TV morning rant in school, y'all. It's the morning school, it's campus. But we got a lot of respect because he owned this shit. And he owned it to the point where, you know, everything I've been saying, he's validating it.
Yeah.
It's like validation. It's like a cold bill like that. That's cold.
Yeah.
Role reversed in the 1900s. The role reversed cold in the 1900s. Where they forced you to become something and allowed them to become this.
8 U.S. government listed all full-blooded American Indians as black or colored as their classification of race documented inside of the 1900 census, while simultaneously, white U.S. citizens were allowed to become identified as Indians by simply paying the Dawes Commission a whopping total of just $5 for each white adult and child to be listed on the Dawes rolls, replacing those people that were initially on the forms during this time period. So now, from the late 1880s to April 1st, 1902, which is known as April Fool's Day, public notices were passed around detailing that other claimants can legally make their cases for freedmen enrollment.
April Fools! Now y'all get where April Fools come from. Now y'all get where April Fools come from. Look who's the new Indians. Look who are the new Indians. April Fools. You thought I was white? No. No. No, I'm not what? No, I'm not. I am Indian. I am Indian. I'm indigenous to this land. April Fools. Ha ha. April Fools to you. April Fools to you, to you. I know I look red to you. I know I look pale. I know my eyes are blue. I know what you see, but I am April Fools. I am Indian. Oh, let's go through history. I'm sorry. You got to laugh at these things. You have to laugh at these things. April Fools. What do you mean blonde hair, blue eyes? I don't know where them blonde hair, blue eyes came from, damn it. What are you talking about, blonde hair, blue eyes? I am Indian. This land is my land. Like that song. This land is your land. This land is my land. Why you just couldn't just been this is our land. It had to specifically start off with this land is your land. This land is my land. No, why is it not ours? It's not this land is our land. That's what the whole song should be. Just like we sing, what's that other song we sing? Yellow, wait, something black or white. They are precious. Oh, Jesus. And see how they add Jesus love? See how they put Jesus in the mix of their bull stuff? Jesus loved the little children. All the children everywhere. Red, yellow, black, or white. They are precious in His sight. Wow, why would you do that? I get what y'all trying to make us think. I know what you're trying to make us think, that He loves us all. But that's not what that song is about. Sometimes you have to listen to what these songs are saying. Yeah, it rhymes. Yeah, it sound good, but you trying to tell me it's only red people? Only yellow people? Who the hell are the yellow people? Red, yellow, black, or white? Who are the yellow people? You got the red, the yellow, got the black and white. So who would be the yellow people? Yeah, I never thought about that, huh? I just thought they was throwing colors together. I just thought they was throwing, yellow sound good right there. It couldn't have been red, black, and white. They are precious in his sight. It says red, yellow, black, and white. They are precious in his sight. Who are the yellow people? And then if you don't even know who these people are, we know who the black people is. We know who the white people is. We know who the black people are supposed to be. We know who the white people are supposed to be. But who would be the red or the yellow? Like, who would call somebody red? They weren't red. Who would be the red people? Because according to the people in quote unquote Middle East, what they are considered the red people too, correct? They're considered red. So if you're talking about the red people, like in the quote unquote want to be the Middle East and them people, are we talking about the Indian people? We just couldn't say he loved the whole wide world. Like we got the whole world in his hands. That sounds better than red and yellow, black or white. What? And we going, yeah. Hey, Umi baby. We going, yeah. But we never said to ourselves, who are these people? Who are they talking about? Who are these people talking about? See, we doing history the wrong way. We are doing history the wrong way. History from America got so many dirty secrets in it. We going across. We got to start here. We got to start here. You got to start with your mother, your father. Oh no, we don't. We go so far back. No. Thank you, my baby. We got to start here first because, as I was saying, because majority of us are native to this land. We are native to this land. I will be whining a little bit so Umi can get it, but she's going to have to catch the rewind so she could truly understand what I'm saying. Because I try to tell people, a lot of us are the true Aboriginal people. So why are you studying all this stuff in Africa that has nothing to do with you when your bloodline is here? And if people are like, well, I took my ancestry test and it says I'm West Indian. I'm from West Africa, blah, blah, blah. No, baby. When they came here, they mixed with your people that was here. So you are Indian first, African American second. You're not African American with Indian blood. You're Indian with African blood. It's the other way around. We don't even know all Americans' dirty. We would never know America's dirty secrets, first of all. We would never know all the people who books we read and who we looked up to. And we like, yeah, they became a doctor. They became a lawyer. Yes, that they the first. And but as I seen, they sold us out. Remember, W.E.B. Du Bois played a part in our downfall. Booker T. Washington played a part in our downfall. That's what I keep telling y'all. Stop looking for leaders. When a leader comes, they come for a reason. When you go and get these leaders, no, they was planted here. They was planted here to keep you all fucked up, keep your mind all messed up. They were plants. They are plants to make you think one thing, but it's really another, and to keep you from saying, hey, this is my damn land. No, I don't want no damn restoration. This is my goddamn land. I want a piece of land. This land belongs to my grandmother, my great-grandmother, or my grandfather. But they tell you not to look at your ancestors that's here. They teach you to look at the ones across way over there in a continent way over there. And then you wonder why you got some black people in America, they cannot connect to the people in Africa, and you wonder why they can't connect to us. And we keep saying we need to, they even sent people out here to say, you know what, let's call it Pan-African. And we not connecting for a reason, because they're not our ancestors. A lot of them are not our ancestors. Our ancestors are here, and their ancestors are over there. And that's why we can't seem to form a bond. That's why we can't seem to connect. But if you do have DNA from people in Africa, like I said, American black people are so effed up that both of our sides said F us. The Indians said F us. They don't claim us. We be trying to claim them. They don't claim us. You got the African people. We be trying to claim them. They don't claim us. But we got Indian blood and African blood in us, and neither one will claim us. I keep saying that's some fucked up shit. We the only people that need, like, hold up now. And we always got to tell people, I got in. No, we don't. We are Indians. You don't have Indian blood in you. You are Indian. You are Aboriginal. That's who you are. Now, and you can't think about, well, I have my complexion because all black people come from. No, they were black too. They were black too. So now they told us, as what you seen, they made all of them black. And then they became Indians. But the other Indians that we don't see, that's not Indians. They're not. This is crazy. Us poor black Americans, we got it so bad. We got it so bad that nobody claims. We are two people offsprings. We are two people offsprings, and nobody claims us. To the point that we don't even want to claim us. It's messed up that Africa don't want to claim us, which is in our DNA for some people. And then you got the Indian people don't want to claim us. They're in our DNA. And then if we go, hey, I did the people with the silky hair on, and that is correct. They immigrated and infiltrated. Exactly. But it's a shame that they don't want to claim us neither. Even if you Cherokee, you can't go to the Cherokee to say, hey, I'm family. I got Cherokee DNA in me. They don't claim you. You go to the African, you go, hey, I got some of your DNA in me. They ain't claiming us. But we here, we don't claim each other neither. We don't claim each other neither. We don't claim everybody else, regardless of what we do, they claim it. We do it, they claim it. Everything the American black people do, everybody claim it but us. No, we don't say, damn, we are the economy of everything. We are the economy of every damn thing. We are the economy. 1 minute we was cattle. That's economy. Free labor, that's economy. Taking the land from our people, because remember, this is our land. If we Indian, so that means they took our land from some of our DNA, and then they brought us here and made the other part of our DNA slaves. So, I don't care which way you put it. Us American blacks, we done got the whole entire world rich. They rich. They are rich. They rich from us. But we don't want to give thanks to each other. We don't say, hey, our great-grandfathers, we don't want to listen to their music. We want to call them old. We got so many negative things to say about our forefathers, to the point that we tuned them out. We tuned them out, but we didn't tune them out to the point to whereas we're not living off of their blood, sweat, and tears. We don't mind living off their blood, sweat, and tears. But what we do mind is saying thank you to them. What we do mind is not even, giving back to them. Even with our artists, a lot of our artists died broke. I don't care what era, what decade, majority of our artists died broke. The R&B singers are getting paid now. I ain't even get to hip hop. Hip hop is fairly new, but the R&B people and what they call now, we did swing. We did so many different parts of music, jazz, the blues. They call it R&B now. We ain't gonna call it R&B. We're gonna say we had the rhythm people, because we had a rhythm that come from out of church. The rhythm comes from church. We don't go to church no more. So that's why our singers these days cannot sing. Like, why they don't sing the same? Because they don't go to church no more. So they don't have that type of singing that they're always singing. Their voices are not trained to sing or hit certain notes because they don't go to church no more. Then you have the people that was the nighttime people. They was drinking, they was smoking, they was humping around. They had broken hearts. So then they became the blues. Remember, rhythm is from the church people getting that rhythm and clapping your hands and singing of joy. And the blues is, I got a broken heart. That mofo ain't nothing, or that chick ain't nothing. And then R&B got married. Then rhythm and blues got married and became R&B. That's why it's an and there, R and B. But you got to remember, people go rhythm and blues, but you got to explain what the rhythm is and what the blues are. And then you can see how they got married, because they was taking the blues and singing them with the rhythm. And some of the songs that was the rhythm, they were singing it like it was the blues, like they sound really sad or whatever. It depends on how your voice go and how the music goes. But they got married and became R&B. Well, we don't even sit up there and thank our people for that. We do that, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to fight for this land we got here that belongs to us. We got this whole land. They took it from the Indians. God damn it, we the Indians they took it from. This your land, dummies. Not calling you guys dummies. I would never say it about you guys. I'm just saying people who don't want to get it through their heads. People who don't want to get it through their heads.
However, This motion single-handedly allowed white citizens the rights to legally cede Indian lands, reparations, plus the optimized benefits having been set in stone previously for
Did you hear that? They received their reparations, and you wondering why. That's why people trying to figure out why every nation got reparations but us. Because they took the damn reparations already. They took the reparations already when they became Indians. They took the land and they took the reparations already. And then we want the reparations. Why do you want reparations? Shit, no, this is your goddamn land. People want that money so bad, so they've been dangling that shit. They've been dangling that over our heads for all decades and decades. They've been dangling that reparations over our heads. No, we want part of our land. We want our land back. But we don't want to fight for our land back. Well, give us some parts of our own damn land. It's our land already. It's plenty of empty spaces out here that we can set up shop and have our own. Well, why we don't want to fight for the land? We want a couple of dollars. Again, we selling ourselves out for money that we're missing the bigger picture. Even with the ADOS, you're not looking at the big, oh, my family slave for here. No, some of y'all, this your land, period. Now, the people who family slave for here, who was taken, they are owed reparations. But all of us is not owed reparations. Some of us is owed the whole goddamn land. We're owed the whole damn land. We ain't owed that little bit of money. We owe the dirt, baby. The dirt.
the people now classified as black.
Now you see why Nipsey that's a cold statement, nigga.
Reparations plus the optimized benefits having
see why you had to
Indian
go, G?
lands. Ocean single-handedly allowed white citizens the rights to legally cede Indian lands, reparations, plus the optimized benefits having been set in stone previously for the people now classified as black. Now, jumping over to the 1930 census, it gave special instructions to the census takers, stating, quote, Negroes, persons of mixed white and Negro blood should be returned as a Negro, no matter how small the percentage of Negro blood. Both black and mulatto persons are to be returned as Negroes, without distinction. A person of mixed Indian and Negro blood should be returned a Negro, unless the Indian blood predominates and the status as an Indian is generally accepted in the community.
Blues and stories.
And then it goes on to say, quote, Indians, a person of mixed white and Indian blood should be returned as Indian, except where the percentage of Indian blood is very small.
That's them.
Where he is regarded as a white person by those in the community where he lives, end quote. So in other words, according to these enumerator instructions,
this is it.
Whites have the power to choose whatever he or she wants to be. So if a white male or female lives amongst the Indians, then he or she can consider themselves as Indians. But if he or she just so happens to move into a predominantly white neighborhood, then he or she could consider themselves as white.
The white people get reparations. I told y'all in that movie Whitewash. Press 1. Remember I said they get it. They get something hidden. They all being secretive about what they get. They keep talking about benefits. And they get our money, bro.
Yep. That's it, my brother.
Bro. We was on it from the beginning, bro.
Mm-hmm.
How far have we come, Braveheart?
Shame. Shame. Shame.
Braveheart, look at this, bro. I told y'all how are white people getting minority benefits and white privilege?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck we got here?
Yep.
This is why I'm developing a radio show for the people, by the people. Press 1. This is why. Because I need your music, independent, and I need your ears to listen to all the time. All the time. This needs to be the propaganda of critical race theory.
Yep.
Don't you agree on how you was reclassified as something else? And white people came from foreign land who don't want to be white to identify and get the benefit of, and what I mean by benefits, I mean benefits of white, not only white privilege, but a helping hand, your helping hand.
Yep.
That's why nobody wants to tell you who you are.
Yep.
You rising of who you are is the fall of the world. They get to be in the position that you being by they've been telling you to pick yourself by the boot.
Hey,
what a bitch. You wonder why what is 18-year-old kid driving around in his own construction company license with trailers and got Mexicans working for him, and you work at Mickey D's and they telling you to climb your way up this dream world.
I
don't even know if I should open the phone lines. This is embarrassing.
Yep.
I don't even want to pass go.
I feel the same way, Cav. I feel the same way. And we could tell black people this all we want. They're gonna tell you, they're gonna hit you with, no, but we started before then. We go, no, and no. But you can't tell people that because we're brainwashed to think that we have to study all of their cultures and their demons and walk around with unks and shit. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Nothing. Now, people are going to say, but this is what it means. You know what? The person who made that unk put a meaning to it. Why didn't we, as Americans, we could make our own symbol and put our own meaning to it? No, we want their meaning. We want everybody else's symbols, signs and symbols and meanings. We want their names. We want everything but our own shit. And that includes our land. We want everything but our own shit. But we've been programmed to think, oh, I know what the Ubaris are. I'm just making up names, so I'm not messing them up. I'm just making up names because I don't want nobody to think that I'm talking about their culture. We want to know what the Umbambis is, the Shumbambis and the Wumwams and the Shamshams. Make up your own name. We know all about that. We know all about their culture. We know all this shit. But we didn't know that we're still doing the same thing here. We've been duped. We didn't get duped once. We got duped twice. Ain't nobody talking about that though. Ain't nobody talking about that. We talk about the $5 Indians, but we forgot we are the goddamn Indians. We didn't realize. Let's go into that some more. Shoot. They got the reparations already. They got the entitlement already. They was able to walk around with 2 fucking identities already and benefit from both. I'm gonna rewind that part, even though I played it in the beginning. but I just let it play. I could talk about it now, but I was just letting it play. They said if they wanted to be in, they got the reparations that we're still fighting. They got it already. It went to the wrong people. Hello? Tell ADOS that the reparations went to the wrong people. They got it already. They got it. Now, if they give it out again, you're going to get a little bit of money because we have Moke, being that they decided to make us all colored. Now, you will have to prove again. For the people who don't want to know American history, they want to know African history and everybody else's history. Now, you're going to have to prove that your descendants, that you don't want to study. You will now, to get that reparations, you will now have to prove your descendants, that your descendants came off that boat. And you can't say it's in our DNA because we now have Africans here that are from Africa. And their second and third generation, their kids may have American blood. They may have, their blood would not be like straight Nigerian if they mixed with somebody. So now you still, to get them reparations, there are no records of your people. But you don't want to, like I said, we never asked a grandma or grandpa. And even if we did ask our mothers or grandmothers or great-grandmothers, a lot of things did take place in our own families that we don't have that. We don't have that information. We don't have that family tree. That family tree may be, or you better pick a side that you can get the most family tree that you can get. And when you want that DNA so bad, you better make sure that DNA connects to somebody here. That DNA connecting to somebody in Africa ain't gonna help you get your reparations if they give you a small part. I heard they're gonna start giving people in California a small part of the reparations. But in all reality, we Black folks didn't get it because they got it already. They got it already. It called themselves Indians and they got it. Our reparations. Duh. Because they changed races on us. They took 2 races. Now you know a blonde hair and blue eyes. Like, I know what you see. I don't know how my hair get blonde. I don't know how my eyes got blue. I don't know how they got green. I don't even know where this red hair come from. I don't know none of these things. All I know is I'm Indian. Because I said so. I paid for it and I'm Indian. I get my Indian papers, damn it. Now you looking at the person, and now I'm white and you white. And I know we both white. But now you're going to show me some paper stating that you Indian. And the other person going to go, okay, me too. Because this is going to make this land more ours. See, the more you say you Indian, the more I say I'm Indian, that's going to make this land more ours. And then when we don't want to claim Indian no more, it doesn't matter because we still white. And we still now can make these different states. You know what I'm saying? Now we're going to add more states. Now we don't need the 13 colonies. Matter of fact, we're going to do 50 fucking states. We're going to acquire more land. That's how we end up getting 50 states, because we didn't start out with 50 states. We didn't start out. So they pushed a lot of them Indians, they pushed them into Mexico. They pushed a lot of them Indians into that land that they call Puerto Rico. They pushed them Indians in a lot of these Spanish-speaking countries, not all of them, but a lot of them. That's why a lot of them look straight up Indian, but they don't want to call themselves Indian neither. So they have black. That's why a lot of them are dark. And they're like, no, I'm Spanish, I'm Guatemalan. No, you ain't Guatemalan. You Spanish and Indian. Oh, I'm Puerto Rican. No, you're Spanish and you're Indian. Oh, I'm Dominican. No, you're black, Spanish, and Indian. It's not too much, but a lot of them. Cuba, not so much. Cuba is majority Spanish and Caucasian. People go, yeah, we got African, and then they say we Indian. But then if you Indian, goddamn it, you still one of us. Soon as you say, "I got Indian in me," you're still one of us. You cannot take away from being one of us. Just because you speak Spanish. I'm Puerto Rican, no. Dominican, no. I'm Mexican, no. They push y'all out. They push same way they put black people from that slave boat. They dropped them in different areas. They did the same thing to the Indians. Duh. But I'm rewinding a little bit. Hopefully y'all getting y'all lesson for today.
Benefits and white privilege. Who are these people talking about? Land pat Janice, Aboriginals out there. Y'all know I be talking shit, but I love these people. I love everybody's a victim over there on the Coffee and Kush TV morning rant in school, y'all. It's the morning school, it's campus. But we got a lot of respect because he owned this shit. And he owned it to the point where, everything I've been saying, he's validating it. It's like validation. It's like a cold bill like that. That's cold. But they role reversed in the 1900s. They role reversed cold in the 1900s, where they forced you to become something and allowed them to become this.
U.S. government listed all full-blooded American Indians as black or colored as their classification of race documented inside of the 1900 census, while simultaneously, white U.S. citizens were allowed to become identified as Indians by simply paying the Dawes Commission a whopping total of just $5 for each white adult and child to be listed on the Dawes rolls, replacing those people that were initially on the forms during this time period. So now, from the late 1880s to April 1st, 1902, which is known as April Fool's Day, public notices were passed around detailing that other claimants can legally make their cases for freedmen enrollment. However, this motion singled previously for the people now classified as black. Now, jumping over to the 1930 census, it gave special instructions to the census takers, stating, quote, Negroes, or persons of mixed white and Negro blood, should be returned as a Negro, no matter how small the percentage of Negro blood. Both black and mulatto persons are to be returned as Negroes, without distinction. A person of mixed Indian and Negro blood should be returned a Negro, unless the Indian blood predominates and the status as an Indian is generally accepted in the community. And then it goes on to say, quote, Indians, a person of mixed white and Indian blood, should be returned as Indian, except where the percentage of Indian blood is very small.
That's them.
Where he is regarded as a white person by those in the community where he lives, end quote. So in other words, according to these enumerator instructions,
this is it.
Whites have the power to choose whatever he or she wants to be. So If a white male or female lives amongst the Indians, then he or she can consider themselves as Indians. But if he or she just so happens to move into a predominantly white neighborhood, then he or she could consider themselves as white.
But white people get reparations. I told y'all in that movie, Whitewashed. Press 1. Remember I said they get it. They get something hidden. They all being secretive about what they get. They keep talking about benefits. And they get our money, bro. Braveheart, bro. We was on it from the beginning, bro. How far have we come, Braveheart?
Shame.
Braveheart, look at this, bro. I told y'all how are white people getting minority benefits and white privilege? And look at what the fuck we got here. This is why I'm developing a radio show for the people, by the people. Press 1. This is why. Because I need your music, independent, and I need your ears to listen to all the time. All the time. This needs to be the propaganda of critical race theory. Don't you agree on how you was reclassified as something else? And white people came from foreign land who don't want to be white, who identify and get the benefit of, and what I mean by benefits, I mean benefits of white, not only white privilege, but a helping hand, your helping hand. That's why nobody wants to tell you who you are. You rising of who you are is the fall of the world. They get to be in the position that you been, by they've been telling you to pick yourself by the boot. That a bitch. And you wonder why what is 18-year-old kid driving around in his own construction company licensed with trailers and got Mexicans working for him, and you work at Mickey D's and they telling you to climb your way up this dream world. I don't even know if I should open the phone lines. This is embarrassing. I don't even want to pass go. We unlocking the freedom in your brain every time I get on this internet. We find out something new. I mean, we could already been there, known this shit. Shout out to Dan Calloway. Shout out to Dan Calloway. I'm gonna open up the phone line, see if any men or women discuss this. Yeah, this is embarrassing. This is real interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
There it is there. I knew that Ellen Island was how you ended up in this position. You feel me? How you ended up in this position. This bondage I was talking about. This second bondage. Where people just don't get enough of you. They just can't let you live free. They just can't. They got to come together with different. Plymouth Rock landed on us. So did the American Constitution and Virginia Company. Press 1. This is critical race theory right here. And I'm the only one qualified to teach it, along with other scholars like Dan Calloway. This is critical race theory right here.
Yes, right. Press 1.
I told you who
Press
you
1.
was. Only thing that matter is your restitution and your reparations and being reclassified back to who you are, your name's given back to you. You don't need a bullet. God didn't make this so you'll have to be a bullet. He said he was going to send somebody to help you know what the fuck to do. You don't need no guns. You just need lots of love and law to follow the law. Press 1. That's it. They operated the gun. Dr. King was murdered. He ain't never had no gun. Press 1. He ain't had no gun walking up the gun. He was murdered. They had to get rid of him because he said he was coming to get his check. He said because we naturalized citizens, not naturalized. We are the Americans, and we don't became third and fourth class citizens in our own land. Ain't that a bitch? Them was bars.
Mm.
That's bars. And niggas still don't know what that means. What that mean? Third class citizen. You took a bad deal. And he helped. Remember he said, I don't walk my people into a burning house. He ain't know. He's like that, just like Malcolm X didn't know. But Dr. King didn't know. He find out last second. God damn it. Fucked. Compton born and raised. Talk about it. These ain't theories over here. It's critical race facts. The American government was founded on racism. Press 1. And
Press
you
1.
have to be racism.
Now press
to
1.
keep the privilege that you have. You have to be racist. I don't blame you. You have to be condescending. You have to, oh my God, these people. Well, if you would like to, you the only people that you guys people. I'm trying to tell you. You guys people. They took your name. Did I tell y'all about the pirates? Didn't I tell y'all the ghost ship? That's the ghost ship. They the ghosts because that's not them. They getting buried and living again, and they living through your name all over again. You dying off being whitewashed in time. You can look at your kid right now and be like, man, what's the odds of you keeping my name intact with the world we live in right now? The odds are very dim. White man ain't got to do nothing. You on autopilot. You like Clayton Bigsby. You a black Ku Klux Klanman. Self-destruction. That's it. You allowed them to replace them in your place. If you don't go check your police record, you got all type of cars and inventions in the past. All type of big land and farms and all these acres and all this stuff. Do you know that Ebony Magazine, live and direct, say how Black America lost 90 million acres? 90 million. And we worried about fashion and
All right, I'm gonna stream past. I know I'm way over my time, but I'm gonna stream past this because I want y'all to see some pictures here. I might show this on a part 2, but I just want to show you guys some pictures because y'all don't want to believe. We seen the pictures, but we don't want to believe.
There's an African-American attitude. A black man.
What do you think, Morgan? Is this political correctness gone too far?
Yeah.
Y'all seen this picture? We gotta see our DNA is here already. Our DNA is here already. This is why the pictures add up. Look at the pictures. This is why our pictures add up. We do not have the same phenotype. Now, again, if you studied the map, you would know where this is at. I ain't studied this part of the map, but this map is showing you from the complexions that we call it. Remember I said yellow? Who are the yellow people? Red and yellow, black or white. We see the red, we see the yellow, we see the white, we see the red, yellow, black, right, red, yellow, black, and white. Who are the yellow people? Who's the damn yellow people? And who would be the red people? Would that be us, the Aboriginal people? Or would that be people from the Middle East? But who? Who? But we know this already, which we're going to go over. I just want to show y'all some of the pictures so y'all can see this add up. Y'all can see where this adds up.
Dry skin?
You can see our ancestors in these pictures. These are the original people. And you're going to see where, I just want to see what pictures they have here. So you can see where these pictures add up. Again, you will have to read your maps. You have to read your maps. If you're going to be a historian, we got the Atlantic Ocean here, right? So we got the Ostrogoths, then the Lamberts, which became Italy, the Visigoths. Like I say, y'all don't want to know these things, but now you know where Spain came from, know where Italy came from. The borders of now France and Germany. And we got the Anglos and the Saxons, what we call Anglo-Saxons. That'll be Britain. Okay, we already know the Celts. That kind of give it away. We already kind of know that's Ireland. The Franks, what we would know is Franks, France. So we could kind of figure that out. I told you, anytime you get confused, when you see some of these old names, if it sounds like something of a new name, if it sounds like it, doesn't make it true. But if it sounds like it, then 9 times out of 10 is what it is. So we got Britain over here. We got Spain over here. We got the Byzantine Empire. We got the Black Sea. You look at this. The Vandal Kingdom. And like I said, in order for you, the Saxons. So when you look at a map and when you see the word Celts, you would know, okay, the Celts, we would know, okay, that would be Ireland, right? So we would see Ireland and the Saxons. We would know, okay, British and Ireland is right next to each other, right? Then we got the slurs. So you will have to learn, remember the old maps, this is Europe. The old maps is where you're going to get the most information from. You ain't going to get the new ones. We're going to go over this tomorrow. I'm just wanting to look at some pictures. We're going to go over this because I keep telling you, map history, yes, we do. Because then you will know what was there and who are they today. So when you see the Celts on a map, you will know today, like I said, that'll be Ireland. When you see the Franks, you will know that would be France today. Like if you see Negro land, you go, oh, so that's where that come from. Oh, that wasn't there, but oh, that's there now. Oh, okay. I just want to show y'all the pictures. We were kings and queens in Europe too. Now, the historic depiction of the Carib. What would the Carib mean? Does that mean Caribbeans or does that mean Carib? Again, this is our people. Look at the phenotype. Majority of us in America look at the nose and the eye. That is our phenotype. Most of us did not have the big noses. Look at this. These are our ancestors that we don't even look them up. We don't look them up at all. But these are our ancestors. It's not the video I was looking for, but I wanted looking for the video. I wanted to look for the video where it was just pictures, where where it was the pictures of the black people today. And who their ancestry will look like today when they put it side by side. Like, look at this. This is not the Native Americans. We know for a fact these people here are not the Native Americans. Look at this, remember? Look at this. We know that's not Native. When did Native Americans turn to look like her? When? She looks like an Indian. This will look more like a lady who is mixed with the Spaniard blood. This is somebody you will call. That's why we try to tell people Puerto Rican is not a race. A lot of these Latin communities are not a race. We know she cannot be a Native American. She may got some drops of blood in her now. She got a couple of drops of blood in her now, but she's not. She's no more. We're more Native than her. I'm just showing. But they said the Native American. No, this is what. Remember the $5 Indian. This would be the this would be from the $5 Indian. That would be she would be their offspring. She would be the offspring from the $5 Indian, and the guy behind her too. Remember, these are all Indians that's up on this panel. This would be the offsprings of the $5 Indian. Hello, somebody. But when they talk to us, we would sit up there. Let's say we see them. We would be like, oh my God, we the fucking Indians. Well, we'll be like, no, they the Indians, and thinking no, and no. But guess what? They know the history that we don't know. They know the history that we don't know. And we don't even bother to look for it. Because we too busy back in Africa. But they know our history. Now, these are your original Chinese people, which happen to be black too. But we'll get into the original Chinese people later. We'll get into them later. But they were black too. Not Africans. They were black. Damn, I can't find that video. But we'll do another one on this. We definitely do another one on this. We're gonna definitely do another video on this because we if they're gonna say we gotta wake up, we really gotta wake up. If we gonna wake up, we really gotta wake up. They be like, hey, boss lady, the lost tribes, lost name. They be like, oh, black people gotta wake up. No, we really gotta wake up. We really, really, really gotta wake up. We really gotta wake up. And waking up is also knowing that you are the original people. Here, right here. And you gotta wake up and keep talking about the restorations. Now you know what it. Now you know how to explain where your restorations went. I already explained where they went. So told adios. They were studying the wrong history. They should have been studying this history and knowing that this belongs to us and get your land. Keep your money and give us our land. But again, black people, all we see is color ourselves, and we associate ourselves with the color and think, yeah, we all know we ain't all one, baby. Everybody know but you. Everybody know but you. But okay, let me see. No. It was a video and it showed a lot of the American Indians, and then it showed us black people today. Like, but if some reason they used artists. They used artists, and it showed like a lot of artists, and they look split image. Split image. This I'm finished here. I'm finished here. And I thank all of you guys for being here. Guys, please catch the replay. Please catch the replay. We need this information. A lot of people don't want the information. A lot of people want all the things, the distractions, but you need this information too. And this video went way longer than what I anticipated. Way longer. So I may have used up all my hours. I don't know. But I will definitely see you guys tomorrow. Probably earlier and then later. I had to get 2 videos in, y'all. But not on here, on my other one. Thanks, baby. Because there's some good info there. But I'm out of here, guys. Peace and out.